All right, we're live. Welcome, everyone. Today we have for you Dr. Kip Davis. What?
Fantastic.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Dr. Kip, I don't, there ostensibly is someone here who doesn't know about you, or more likely, someone who may watch in the future that has no idea who you are or how fabulous you are. Would you like to tell everybody a
Not
little bit
so
about who you are and what you do? We'll do this again at the end. So this is just like the elevator pitch.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Hi. I'm Dr. Kip Davis. I am a biblical scholar and a specialist in early Judaism and the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's early Jewish history, early Jewish literature, and the Dead Sea Scrolls. I run a YouTube channel under my own name, very originally titled Kip Davis on YouTube.
Those are the best names.
And I guess so, right? You never have to worry about changing them.
You never have to
But
worry about that,
or at
or
least
sharing your
shouldn't.
channel with random weasels that just happen to scurry by.
That's right. That's right. Yes. So, and on my channel, I do videos about biblical studies. I love the Bible. I'm passionate about counter apologetics and countering nonsense from every side about
So
the Bible.
it's my understanding that you are, in fact, Richard Carrier's biggest fan.
Oh, right, right. I
Biggest,
too have heard this.
biggest. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we were on the fence about
Yeah.
doing a carrier vid today, and then I'm just like, I don't need the GE stands. Just like
Uh,
dog pile me in the comment section.
yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah. So, but just so
Oh, sorry.
everybody
Go ahead.
knows, like there is a wide range of nonsense, apologetic nonsense that comes not just from Christians, not just from religious people. There's all sorts of people who promote nonsense about the
Mm.
Bible, and I like to correct that kind of shit because I'm telling you, the Bible's fascinating enough all on its own that you don't have to make stuff up.
Holy crap. You know what? Doc, I'm gonna with Doc. I have too many doctors on my shows. Goodness. It's like I'm like big shit or something. I don't know. All right. I'm gonna do you mind if you're okay? So Dr. Kip and Dr. Weasel. Dr. Kip, I do want to let you finish. Well, I have actually a question for you before we go into tonight's random fuckery. But Dr. Weasel, I think you wanted to say something.
I've forgotten what it was.
Oh
ADHD.
no.
Hooray.
So we
Yeah, no.
try as we might, and feel free to interrupt me since I interrupted you, Weasel. Um, we were trying to find something about Jesus being a mushroom that
Heard.
wasn't boring.
Yeah,
Are
you've
you
heard it.
familiar with the Allegro book?
So
What's the name of it?
not a, I
Jesus was a magic
the
mushroom.
sacred mushroom and the cross.
Yes,
Sacred Mushroom and the
yes.
Cross. Yeah, that's what it was.
Joe
Yeah,
Rogan
or it's the cross
swears.
and the sacred mushroom.
Yeah, Joe Rogan swears that Jesus was a mushroom. So you can imagine our curiosity.
Absolutely.
Oh, we had a short that we
Uh,
wanted to show.
Find it,
Hold
find
on.
it.
Let me find a short.
But
are you
no,
ready?
Dr. Kip, please
Okay.
set
You
us
keep
straight.
talking.
So, John Marco Allegro had a daughter who wrote a biography about him. That's very good. It's on my. I can't reach it. It's up there, but I'm. Oh
Oh
no, you
God!
can't see it. Oh my god.
Imagine somebody with a real bookshelf.
Yeah.
We see so many apologists with the fake bookshelves in the back.
I know. Right,
I love
the
calling out the
fake
real
ones.
ones. I'm sorry. Daughter wrote a book
It's
that may or may not be behind you.
She wrote a book, biography about him. It's quite good. But when I was a PhD student, one of my very first publication writing assignments was to write a review of the book. And I don't have I've never met John Marco Allegro was dead already before I got there. But I did my PhD at the University of Manchester, which is where he is from, where he had taught. My PhD supervisor knew John Marco Allegro well, so I have this roundabout kind of a connection to the guy. And I gotta say, um, I mean, John John Allegro's ideas about that he published in the Sacred Mushroom and the Cross are crazy. They are legitimately just off the wall nonsense. But he gets way too much flack for some of the work that he did before that, because what invariably happened to Allegro is that he he started working on this book at the same time he was also working on the publication team for the Dead Sea Scrolls, and between so the first volume of the Dead Sea Scrolls was published, and three more volumes followed in 57, I think, and then in 1961, Allegro published his volume. And after that, there was a silence of almost 15 years before anything else came out. And this is kind of what gave birth to these ideas back in the 60s, 70s, and the 80s about this scrolls cartel, and they're afraid about what the scrolls say, so they're trying to hide them and keep them under wraps. And Allegro was publicly critical about this. And I think he gets a bit of a bad rap because when he published his volume, Discoveries in the Judean Desert, Volume 5, he was operating under the assumption that the priority was to get the stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of quick, grab a fragment, he'd work pretty quickly on his identifications. He'd do some shorthand transcriptions and translations. He'd put together just some quick notes. Bam, he was done, right? And he did the whole volume this way, but as a result, some of it's really sloppy. But it was it was because he's working under this prior program of what he thought the publication was supposed to be. After it was published, his colleague and friend, John Strugnell, took it upon himself to write a 115-page review of the book. And for good measure, he wrote it in French. So the title is Note en Marge on Discoveries of the Judean Desert, Volume 5. It appears in Revue de Qumran, and it is just a laundry list of corrections. The entire thing is 115 pages of pretty pedantic corrections to the DJD volume, and I think that kind of helped to contribute to his reputation. Allegro was sort of he was a Protestant at the time that he started with the international team, but it wasn't too long before he was already starting to step away from the church and identify more as an agnostic. And this didn't sit well with a lot of the people in the team itself, with a lot of people who were funding the publication of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So I think he bore the brunt of a lot of unfair criticism, which kind of piled on as a result of some of his controversial history. And then he wrote this terrible book, and this just didn't. There you go. That's all I know about John Marco Allegro.
Actually, let's did you want to
Oh,
show the clip?
yeah.
Oh, wait, Doc, I can't hear
I can't
you.
hear. We can't hear you,
The
dude.
first thing I Googled was Dead Sea Scrolls conspiracy
Mm-hmm.
because, I muted myself while I was looking. And the very first thing that I saw was this short. So let's watch it.
Yeah.
Marco Allegro. Do you know who he is?
No.
He's the guy who deciphered the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Oh, okay.
He worked on the panel for 14 years, and he wrote a seriously controversial book. He was an ordained minister. Then he started studying theology, and he was like, this is all fucking crazy. Like, what is this? So he became agnostic, and he wanted to look at the etymology of the words. And
Okay.
so it was his conclusion after 14 years that the entire Christian religion was a gigantic misunderstanding. And what it really was about was psychedelic mushroom experiences and fertility rituals. You know about that guy, John Mark?
So I have to say that's not a bad summary of
Horrifying.
Allegro
and hilarious.
and it is, yeah. So yeah, no,
Interesting.
I know it is something. But he caught onto this idea where he started looking into like the deep etymology of Greek and Hebrew terms that appear in the Bible, and then using these, because I don't know if everybody knows, but like words change over time, right?
Yeah.
They'll start
Wait,
off
hold
as
on. Are you
something.
saying that Genesis wasn't written in English?
No, I think he's saying that
So, but even
gender is
in a
is a moving concept.
yeah, absolutely. So, and they can change rather quickly. I mean, I'm an old guy, but even I say sick now when I see something really cool, and that's not something I would have done, 20 years ago. So it's
Are you sure? You've got a snowboard in the background. You seem exactly like the sort of person who would have done that 20 years ago.
But yeah, so this is what he did: is he would look into the deep etymology of some of these terms. So he's looking at like words, Hebrew words with Sumerian cognates from 2500 BCE. And this word which now means oil once meant vagina. Therefore, so yeah, that's kind of how
he's a biblical
he
scholar.
So the other thing I need to say about Allegro was he was a very promising scholar when he started. He was still in his graduate program. When he was picked to work on the Dead Sea Scrolls. One of the funny things is about this is that when the scrolls were discovered and they were putting the team together of people to decipher them, they didn't pull the long established best and brightest from these institutions. They picked these super young guys who were just finishing up their PhDs or were postdocs.
The rising stars.
The rising stars. Exactly. Yeah. So this is who Allegro was, and he hadn't even
real quick. The chat is saying you might want to make sure you're on the correct mic.
Okay, let me just make sure. Oh, it does say that I am on the right mic. Oh dear. I'm sorry it sounds bad, guys. I don't know what to do about that.
Aunt Juror is extremely used to, as is the rest of the chat, to me sounding bad. I think that probably has more to do with my voice than it does my mic.
Oh.
No, you have a horrible mic. Well, you did have a horrible mic. This one's better. It just I don't know.
Same mic.
But we are all avid watchers of the Kip Davis and YouTube.com.
It's the same mic.
We know, what the mic can sound like.
I got this. This mic was actually a gift from my friend Josh
badass mic.
And Lewis. It's not bad.
Okay. Oh wow,
it's very nice.
Awesome.
I know, right?
Yeah.
They are awesome. So, as I was saying about Allegro, is he started still as a graduate student, and he got so busy with the project and stuff, like the Cross and the Sacred Mushroom book, he never actually finished his PhD. So
What?
and
Really?
yeah, and years later, my doctor father told me he met Allegro for the first time when Allegro had actually re-enrolled at the University of Manchester to do a PhD in English literature, but he didn't finish that one either. So
I kind of
Interesting.
feel that they described Allegro as being, or Joe Rogan did, as being the guy who deciphered the Dead Sea
yeah,
Scrolls. I assume that is a gross oversimplification.
it is a gross oversimplification. The original team consisted of it wasn't big. It was like 8 or 9 people. Allegro was
Okay.
one of this group. Jo- Joseph T. Milik from Poland, who was a genius, and John Strugnell, Frank Marcross, who through his work in the Dead Sea Scrolls ended up developing basically the standard system of Hebrew paleography that we still use today. That's the investigation and the study of ancient scripts. Klaus Hunzinger, Maurice Baillet, um, Dominic Barthelemy. I'm probably missing a couple of the originals. Oh, John Starkey. So it was a collection of mostly French and mostly French scholars, because all the work took place at the Dominican French School of Archaeology in East Jerusalem, the École Biblique, and yeah, but there was a bunch of them. No women, go figure. Back
What?
in the
I am
1950s,
shocked. Shocked, I
right?
tell you.
Yeah, and in fact, no Jewish scholars until 1991
I was
Interesting.
born in
in Israel.
1991.
So,
Yeah, yeah, we all
oh
understand. Like
wow,
if do you need to be burped? I can.
You know, I had a hard time working up to that sneeze I did a little bit ago, so maybe that would help. Yeah.
All right. So for
I graduated from high
about
school in '91.
can you tell us why he believes that, based on whatever he read, the conclusion to that is that um, Jesus is a mushroom?
So Allegro's theory was
Hmm.
basically that the disciples invented Christianity. Now, it's been a long time, and I
No,
don't remember
you're on the right track.
if he actually was it. Did he actually? I I'm not sure if he understood Jesus was an hallucination or an actual guy,
No,
but he
Jesus is what they called the mushrooms, the apostles, to throw the
yes, that's
throw
right.
the law off
To give
track.
them their hallucinations.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And they named it Jesus
So,
because there were so many
uh,
Gezi running around the hillside that they never would have,
oh,
like, yeah, it would been like, Bob. Yeah, we're gonna go in the back and get some help from Bob before we finish this task. You know.
Or Mary
I,
Jane.
I have the I have the
Yeah,
feeling
yeah.
that Richard Carrier and John Marco Allegro would have got on great.
Yeah,
That's God.
that's the sense I'm getting.
And yeah, it is kind of similar to that where yeah, Jesus was a hallucination and all of this happened in the ether and that's why, nobody ever met him and
Oh
yeah,
wow.
not I mean, they could actually supplement each other.
And he was crucified somewhere in the
There-
vicinity of the moon.
Yeah, I'm gonna go crucify some Jesus
I,
right now.
I, I don't I don't think that was Allegro. I think that was
No.
someone else. But
Yeah.
yeah, but he kind of gave birth to this. He might have been the first to sort of fuel this well-oiled machine of Dead Sea Scrolls religion conspiracies that developed over in particular over the 80s and the 90s. When I started college, I spent some time in New Zealand, where one famous, for a time, a famous scholar, who was actually at the University of Sydney in Australia, named Barbara Thiering, she was a Dead Sea Scroll specialist, and this honestly was the first time I had ever heard of the Dead Sea Scrolls, was because of her work, which built a little bit on Allegro's work, where she was still doing. She tossed all the mushrooms and the psychedelic drug use, but she developed this idea that the Gospels are these coded documents which basically tell a completely different history about the development of the church that is closely aligned to what we read in a series of texts from the scrolls called the Pesherim. And she thought that they were basically like the Greek versions of
Mm-hmm.
the text that the people who wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Oh, that's
So
actually not too far from what we have going on tonight. And that,
A
I don't
little,
know. I don't want to
yeah.
cut you off, Dr. Weasel, but
No, no.
it would have actually been a great segue.
let's do it. I was just going to ask. I actually, if you put a gun to my head, even and I should know this, I wouldn't be able to tell you for sure what language the Dead Sea Scrolls were written in, because a lot of stuff at that time was written in Greek, but I don't know if they were written in Greek.
So, most of the Dead Sea Scrolls were written in Hebrew. A
Okay.
sizable amount of them were written in Aramaic. There are Greek manuscripts that were discovered in one of the Qumran caves. Just to give people sort of a thumbnail sketch, when we talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls, largely those are all the manuscripts from Roman Palestine were discovered in the Judean desert. So that includes a number of different sites like Nag Hammadi or Merabat or Masada or Wadi Tsir. The most of them though were found at this place called Qumran, and there's 11 caves that are within a 1.5 kilometer radius of this site, and they've all been, these are thought to be connected, that they were all written and collected by the same people. I think that can be a little bit debatable. Some of this I think is possibly just, the happenstance of
Wait, I think all
discovery.
of the Dead Sea
And
Scrolls, like in all the scrolls in all 11 caves, were all written by the same people.
It's the same
Like,
group.
in these 11
oh,
caves,
and we're talking
uh,
about
uh,
do they
like the
believe it was
same.
written by the Essenes? Because that's what I hear all
Yes,
the time. So all of them are written by
that's
the
the
Essenes.
ongoing.
Is that
Were
the,
they
Yeah.
written more? Were they written by proper ordained Essenes like Lamech?
Yeah, right.
yeah, you made it funny.
I want to know how does one get an ordination as a proper Essenes? Uh,
By
What
making
can
it
you
up.
so
can you kind of explain what an
just
Essene is? Because I hear that they're like, I don't know, whenever you hear about the Pharisees, the rabbis, it's usually with the
yeah,
Essenes, with the exception of in the Bible where the Essenes are not talked about at all, which is
not at all.
interesting.
Kind
But
of,
in
yeah.
other texts, you almost always get it's like a, I don't know, a trifecta whenever
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
discussed. And so
So
what so
um,
we all know who rabbis and Pharisees are. Can you explain kind of who the Essenes were?
Sure. Before I do that, I was
Sure.
going to just to answer Dr. Tapioca Weasel's
Yes, I'm
earlier
so sorry.
question. In one of the caves, in Cave 7, remember there's 11, the contents of Cave 7 are all Greek manuscripts. And,
Oh,
but they're
interesting.
mostly super fragmentary. Uh, it's thought maybe they were somebody's personal collection of just Greek manuscripts that he had. I think there's possibility that they might not even be connected at all. We just don't know. So, the Essenes. Josephus tells us of three main groups, religious sects of Judaism at the time of the first century. We know of the Pharisees, and these were kind of like the populist party. These were uh, the ones who the Pharisees had developed a system of religious observance that was not so closely dependent on the temple in Jerusalem. They're very, very popular as a result. The synagogue movement, which were these Jewish prayer houses that started to pop up all over the empire, sort of emerged out of this group of the Pharisees. They're painted very, very poorly in the Gospels, and the reason for that is because the Gospel texts were all written much later, at a time when the first Christians were having these disputes with the Jews who were left after the destruction of Jerusalem, and these all happened to be Pharisees. So the Pharisees get a really bad rap in the New Testament. They were actually quite a bit more popular, and compared to some of the other Jewish groups, pretty tolerant and pretty lenient and practical and pragmatic. So the second group is the Sadducees or the Sadducites, and these were the elite members of the Jerusalem priesthood. These are the people who, for the most part, were in power, controlled the temple in Jerusalem and the priesthood, and they were very. We don't know a ton about them beyond what Josephus tells us, because we can't identify any texts that are properly Sadducean or Sadducite. And I think one of the reasons for this is because within their theology, within their thinking, the only scriptures are basically the Torah, some of the prophets maybe. They were very tightly controlled. They didn't seem to promote much latitude for interpretive fancies or forays into these texts. So it's probably somewhat understandable that they didn't produce a lot of writing on their own. They were just way too busy, focused on slaughtering animals in the temple, and
As one does.
and taxing the Jewish people, as one does. So that's the second group. The third group is the Essenes. Now Josephus is in his description. These are just kind of like the most popular, the larger groups of Jews. We have reason to think that there were probably other different Jewish sects as well that we just don't know of. But we're kind of guessing at that. So the Essenes were, as far as we can tell, they were an ascetic group. They were quite a private sort of secret group. You had to undergo an initiation in order to join the Essenes. They, based on what we see in the scrolls and a little bit of what Josephus tells us as well, they seem to draw a lot from wealthier families. Many of the Essenes were disenfranchised priests, and they would go out. The Essenes were all over the place, but they seem to have had these centers of religious observance, maybe something like a monastic community. One of them in along the shores of the Dead Sea in Qumran, which is where we found all these manuscripts and this literature. So sect of Judaism.
And for the dating of the Dead Sea Scrolls, when do we believe they were written?
The oldest copies that we have come from conservatively 200 BCE, possibly older. I think a couple of them you could potentially date as early as 250. And the latest manuscripts, the collection contains manuscripts that are dated all the way up to the destruction of the Jerusalem temple in 70. And the reason for this is because after the Romans burned down Jerusalem, they came down to the they came down to the east to the Dead Sea on their way to Masada, which is on the southern shore of the Dead Sea, because that is where the last refuge of Jewish rebels was holed up. So the army was making their way down to Masada. They passed Qumran on the way, and they burned down Qumran and cut up, all their manuscripts. We actually have. It's quite interesting because there's a number of the manuscript fragments that we have that are very, very by uh, so the Romans destroyed Qumran, and as a result, uh, the community ended. So
We
yeah, so
are.
it's
We are
it's
trying to make
roughly
purple
it's like
learn
a
stuff. That
200.
of Dr. Kip, and I'm kind of fangirling over here, almost as much as I was fangirling over meeting Mandisa last week. But wanted to get some stuff out of the way since we have you. And I would bring on, I would ask Dr. Josh to come but he has like 10
It's
kids,
always
and
so busy.
I
I
feel
know.
bad. You know? So
Yeah,
thank you for coming on and
absolutely.
sharing with us. Let's see. Are the Dead Sea Scrolls the oldest biblical text that we have?
So these are the oldest copies of the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament that we have, and they predate the next oldest copies by like 1,000 years.
Oh
So
God.
it's a crazy significant discovery.
So
There
we
was a
lost
handful of
all the
other little
ones
things like
that
there's
Moses wrote.
all those are long gone. Yes,
So
sadly,
sad.
they're
So
unfortunately.
sad.
My understanding is that until they were uncovered in the last um, couple
1947 to
couple
1953.
centuries. Yeah, that the most recent was the like Masoretic text or something from
So the Aleppo
like almost
Codex and
1,000.
the Aleppo Codex dates to about 950 BCE, and the Leningrad Codex is a little bit later. So those are our oldest Hebrew manuscripts. There's a handful of other ones. There's something called the Nash Papyrus, which is it's about this big. It's at Cambridge. It's a single sheet, and it's got text from Exodus and Deuteronomy on it, just like the Ten Commandments, right? And then um, there's just a smattering of small fragments of other things written in Hebrew from, you know, the second century A.D. CE. But that's it. Just these little scraps. Now we have Greek manuscripts, right? Like the Codex Sinaiticus is a large, exquisite Greek manuscript of the whole Bible, Old and New Testament, written in Greek, and it dates to the 4th century. So does Codex Vaticanus. So, like, we have copies of Old Testament, but written in Greek prior to, like, 900 AD, but nothing older than that. And then, when the scrolls were discovered, the crazy, remarkable thing about them is that they contain copies of text from every single book in the Old Testament, except for Esther, Nehemiah, because at the time Nehemiah and Ezra were collected together, and we have a couple of fragments from Ezra.
Okay,
But
okay.
in addition to that, I have to say just one more thing
Go ahead, go
quickly.
ahead.
So there's like about 1,000 manuscripts in total in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
A
1,000
thousand?
manuscripts, and yeah, and about 300 of them are copies of Bible. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like 700 manuscripts that are copies of all sorts of other stuff, which is wild.
Okay. I'm just sorry. The chat's kind of freaking out. They are like
Mm.
abhorred at all this government shilling you're doing. They're like, can earn those paychecks on your own channel. We are here for UFOs. And actually, we haven't done this in a while.
Oh damn!
We have brought some woo to you.
Yay! Woo- woo-
Uh, Dr. Weasel. Who are we showcasing today?
Oh,
Unmute.
you're muted
Unmute.
again, dude.
I'm so bad at all of the things because reasons. It's the mushrooms. That's the fault. You know, I'm gonna blame it on mushrooms. Anyway, we are talking about Youniverse, and we like to go through the numbers here, and we've got 1.04 million subscribers. Million subscribers.
Subscribers.
So
I can't even get 500. They've got 1.04 million.
Million. Can't even
And
spell
we got-
universe right.
What I? Yeah, right.
And a million views just on this one video. Now I am
11
million.
Oh, 11 million. I misread that.
It's 2 ones. Yeah, no, you're not having double vision. It's 11 million.
My brain just wouldn't process it correctly.
Yeah, I was like, nah.
can't
We're
be
gonna have to ease into that.
They only have 1 million subs. How could it be 11 million views?
Because that be how the algorithm do.
Yeah. But I do appreciate all 60 of you coming here for us and Dr. Kipp. Dr. Kipp brings all the boys to the yard and the girls. I'm sorry, ladies.
Less girls, I think.
Less girls, yeah. You know what? I do need, like, my mods hate with a fiery passion, blessed be he. But like, I don't know. She gets like girl privilege. I'm sorry. I'm an evil feminist. But I'm like, I just like more women. I want more women in on these conversations. But I do have my beautiful mods. And Dr. Weasel doesn't count. I have 5 fabulous women, best mods in the industry, best mods in all of YouTube, and I'll fight anybody on that.
Awesome.
And I think 5 of the 6 are women, and two of them are well, Bree. I don't know if you know about Hiveside, but she does
I know.
like every Saturday. I wake up just to watch her. Science in the morning. It's like a adult
Awesome.
Saturday cartoons.
Yeah.
And then Stephanie, who is a trans communicator, is awesome and another content
Stephanie
creator.
Helm?
Yes. And sub to Stephanie.
Oh, yeah.
She's halfway to 500. She's almost there. Just
All right.
just almost there. Got to get her up to 500. So sub all the subs. If you see somebody in the chat, they're probably a content
people.
creator. Go to the channel and sub. Because
Unless
we
it's
do all the
me.
loves here.
Because I don't make content. It's fantastic.
Sad but true.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Back to the woo.
So how does
Absolutely.
this work? Do we just let it go?
It's a reaction. Yeah.
reaction, yep.
Well,
So if you
I'm
see
the one
something that doesn't make sense, tell them to stop the video so we can.
Or like if you just start talking,
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty
All right.
good about stopping.
Yeah, you have been
Okay.
lately.
If there's any moment where I want to grab my pillow and scream into it,
Feel free.
Do it, please. Yeah.
No, yeah, that is a common staple. And also,
And
everyone.
we're gonna need that to be clipped.
Yeah, so
also.
self-protect. You know how this goes.
Alcohol is advised,
Or weed, you know.
or weed. I mean,
If you have some
inebriants.
magic mushrooms, you know, load up on the Jesus. Say your
Load
prayers
up
to the
on
Holy Jesus.
Yeah, just
Excellent. So hold on, can we pause it right away?
Yeah.
This could be a long night.
For the record, this is not going to be
listen.
a night where we finish the video.
Listen, as a Bible scholar, I love videos that begin with hidden teachings of the Bible. Those are the best.
They are. They are.
Those are the-
We found one just for you. With love.
Yay.
Do you have an opinion on consciousness, oneness, and manifestation?
I don't even know what that stuff is.
Yeah, no, me neither, man.
I'm gonna learn something today.
Can you see if you can
yeah.
find the video? Well, the video hasn't started talking yet, but make sure that
Somebody's-
it's up. And
In 1945, some workers in
I can hear
Egypt
it.
accidentally dug into an early Christian tomb.
It's as loud as it will go.
Yeah.
So
you know, I mean, yeah.
Inside,
Some videos
they
are just
found
like
a large
that.
jar containing 13 leather-bound manuscripts which were composed of 48 separate works.
So can we pause it for a second just to
Anytime you want.
contextualize this for everybody? Yeah. So this video is opened with the discovery of the Nag Hammadi library.
Are
I'm
you
assuming
familiar?
that's what they're talking about. A little
yeah.
bit, yeah. So the Nag Hammadi library is a collection of bound codices. I don't believe they were discovered in a tomb. I think they were found literally like buried in the dirt in the desert.
I'm thinking they don't
If I
know the
remember correctly.
difference.
Well, also that
That
is
could,
kind of how tombs work. The ones that aren't in a cave, the ones that we call
yeah,
graves, that they
that's
are
true.
just buried. So
Well, yeah,
That
but
could
normally
that
there's a
could be.
body or there had been a body, thus making it a proper tomb.
I mean, it depends on
Normally,
how
when you
lucrative the
don't put
grave robbing business is.
your holy religious
So
text next to a dead body. I believe that's called sacrilege.
No, or being Egyptian,
They would put their sacred
I don't
text
know.
like the Book of the Dead.
was put next to a
Works for
mummy.
me. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll,
yes,
I'll
very
say
much
I know a
yes.
lot of the mummies were wrapped in writings from the Book of the Dead, but I
I
wasn't
mean,
sure
that
where they're
counts more,
kept.
even more than what I said, though.
Well, no, you had to put them
so
with them so that they knew what to do once they got to the other side. Because
once they got to
obviously
the other
they were
Yeah,
still wrapped in their mummy
yeah.
guard when they're fighting with Anubis or whoever. I'm
how
sorry.
inconvenient is that though, right? I gotta
It's not ideal.
pull this piece off to read it and
Like,
see
look,
what's
I'm
going
trying to
on
get you to
here.
weigh my heart, but it's underneath all these.
it's it's under all these goddamn manuscripts. So I will say one thing about the discovery of the Nag Hammadi library relative to the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls that is potentially interesting. There's been a lot of attention drawn to this more recently by scholars in terms of how much the way the story has been told, uh, the two stories, the discovery of the Nag Hammadi materials and the Dead Sea Scrolls materials, they have mapped onto one another, and they feature a lot of the same tropes in such a way as to suggest even the stories of the discovery of these texts are maybe not to be totally um, totally relied on
What?
dependable. So yeah, so I mean, for example, one of the features of it's the 1940s, right?
I
It's
heard all.
1940s. So
I heard all ancient religious texts were inerrant.
it, well, could be. Yeah, who's to say?
It couldn't be.
So
It couldn't
what
be.
it,
Logically, it couldn't be. They counter. Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know.
Sorry.
Why not?
I mean, I will counter
So
your "I don't
you'll
know"
notice.
with a Kent Hovind.
Hey,
Uh,
well, I can't argue with that. So one of the things that you'll notice in these stories is the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered by Bedouin sheep herders who threw a rock into a cave, and they were afraid um, to go in right away because of spirits and boogeymen. They found these leather bundles, didn't know what to do with them because they're a bunch of dumb Bedouin. They took them to a cobbler, hoping that maybe he could make shoes for them out of them because they're a bunch of dummies. Similarly, so the stories told about the discovery of the Nag Hammadi library, the guys who discovered them took them back to their house and thought these leather bound books would make great kindling for my fireplace. So actually, the story is told that they actually tossed a couple of these into the fire to get it going. Now. Scholars have become highly suspicious of these parts of the story just because, on the one hand, they sound a little bit ridiculous, but also because it feels like these are just propagating some of these colonial tropes about, dumb Arabs and the dumb things that they do. And, oh, man, they don't know any better. Silly guys. I mean, what do they know? They need us to come in and rescue these texts from these silly people. So, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God. It's just like all of history.
Right. Yes. Anyways, we should probably watch this,
Practically
eh?
all of these works are Gnostic,
Yeah, at all.
meaning works. Practically all of these works are Gnostic, meaning they teach salvation through mystical knowledge. And one of these manuscripts contains the Gospel of Thomas. In
Oh, can we
Gnosticism,
pause it there for a moment?
Yeah, if you weren't going to say it, I was.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So I just wanted to make sure that they actually had a picture of a manuscript of the Gospel of Thomas, because sometimes, they'll claim one thing and show something different, or
They do.
show it
They do.
upside down.
Yeah,
because they can't
or
read
reverse.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say though, that sounds like a conspiracy theory. I don't think that really happens. That's like saying that physicists like to represent atoms by like the normal little picture that you have with the little dots, and then like 3 orbits exactly, and that never happens.
So the Gospel
Ever.
of Thomas is just a bunch of sayings of Jesus, right?
So it's 114 sayings. It's not like the other Gospels in that it's not built into a narrative. It's just actually I think I have it here actually.
Oh, God.
I can pull it up.
Why, you know what? Why wouldn't you?
I have it all. Just give me 1 second to pull it up.
If you've earned doctor in front of your name, you are at some level a legitimate hardcore nerd. I mean, it's just a fact.
It's true.
If you've earned it, okay? Kent doesn't count.
No, those are real books behind him. Kent doesn't have any of that. Kent's like, what? God only gave me the one book, and
That's
I
all
don't
I
even
got.
read that.
That's all I got in terms of books behind me. It's not that many.
You know what? I have a Kindle
You can't be
on my
a real
shelf
doctor.
over there, which has the
in
most
the other
of my
room.
books. Certainly all the books
Okay.
I've purchased in the last 15 years. So I'm one of those weird
I
kids.
just found it.
All right.
I'm just opening it up here. So, my version is from. Oh, where am I? I am in Thomas. Okay, so it's 114 sayings, and they kind of go like this. I'll just pull open the beginning here. So the Gospel of Thomas opens. These are the secret sayings that the living Jesus spoke, and Didymus whoever discovers the interpretation of these sayings will not taste death. That's the first saying. The second saying, Jesus said, those who seek should not stop seeking until they find. When they find, they will be disturbed. When they are disturbed, they will marvel and will reign over all. That's the second saying. Third saying, Jesus said, if your leaders say to you, look, the imperial rule is in the sky, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. Rather, the imperial rule is within you, and it is outside you. When you know yourselves, then you will be known, and you will understand that you are children of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, then you will live in poverty, and you are in poverty. And it goes on like that, right? It's just individual sayings.
Which number is feed the rich, fuck the poor? Or what was the other one?
I'm not sure offhand.
Give me money, even if it comes to your own peril. I heard that was like an. Oh wait, I'm thinking of the prosperity gospel. Do you have that on you?
Whoops. Not the original that Jesus.
Are you even really a
spoke with
scholar,
his
bro?
very mouth.
It's like you're not even. It's like I mean,
Vandy, where'd you get this guy? He's not even taking this seriously.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how often I get told that.
I wouldn't.
Oh my god!
several
To
times.
derail the stream further, my
Right.
favorite story from you is when you were talking about like your old pastor and how he got tired of you correcting him on the Bible. It just started like blasting you out in front of the rest of the congregation.
In the middle, in a sermon,
Yeah.
in front of hundreds of people. I had, yeah,
Damn.
I didn't go back uh,
Good for
after
you.
that.
Yeah, well,
Why?
I'm not
Wait.
sure.
No,
Why
isn't that
would you risk
crazy?
your tires that way, right?
Because I
Like,
asked him, I was just like, "Well, wait, how do they know it's you?" And I think you were like, he would say
uh,
things like, and you might say to me, "But Pastor, I've seen the Dead Sea Scrolls," and I'm like, all right." So maybe the
It
whole
was so
congregation would
like
know it's you.
yeah.
it was so on the nose. There were people like sitting in front of us who were like looking over their shoulder at me and like, I think he's talking about you, right? Like it was brutal. It was just
That's rough.
So
it
yeah, if
was
there's any pastors in the crowd and
something.
you're wondering how to make an atheist,
That would do it. So I have to say though, like I have one of my best friends is a Baptist pastor, and he's told me before. He's like, look, he's like, nobody wants someone like you in the audience of their church. He's like, I would not want you to come to my
People are
church.
believed to be souls.
Whoops, sorry.
No, that's cool.
I hit it accidentally.
Because of this. I mean, there is you as a minister, and I get it, right? Like you need to establish that credibility in order for anything that you say uh, to be taken
but
seriously, right? So
I
you
don't.
don't want this
Hmm. I'm
this
sorry. Go ahead, please.
snot-nosed nerd in the audience going, Pastor, I'm sorry, but I'm looking at my Greek New Testament, and it's not quite like that. So, like, I get it, right? And he basically told me this too. He's like, the dirty little secret in the pastors club is that there's a lot of turf protection involved in this. You have a flock, and you do have to guard them to make sure that they're still listening to you. So
Is that not a
it
bunch of bullshit
sounds
though?
nefarious, but that's
No, kind of. Well, I mean, how is it
a
not? How is
lot
it
of it
not? I mean,
is,
because like
yeah.
my pastor always said, "Only follow
It's-
me as I am following Christ. If you find that I am not following
Yeah.
Christ, stop following me." My pastor,
yeah, but they're
well,
the
like
ones
my
who
master.
tell you what Christ is like for so many people, right? And it's very difficult. This is a problem that you can't
This is
solve
an ego
fundamentally on
problem.
some level.
This is straight an ego problem because again, I know
Sure is.
every person and every denomination,
Yes.
and I don't know. I apparently came from a weird non-denominational church, and I came from a weird coven, and everybody around me is just like this weird strain of science non-deniers. But we always like paid homage to the shit that we could see in front of our face. So people in like my world would have seen someone like you as a gift. It's like God has blessed me with someone who understands his word. And
Yeah.
maybe while I'm trying to put together my sermon, maybe to stop you
This is your
from like,
resource?
yeah, I would,
So
I'm being led to see it this way. Is there, you know, is this a scholarly consensus? Or if not, if God's leading me to say, okay, the scholars are wrong, at least to freaking address it. The
Yeah.
scholars are saying it's this, but
so
you know, something. I mean, there are
it would
better
take
ways
an
to shut you up
enormous
than like sending you to
yeah.
hell, right?
It would take just an enormous amount of what's the word I'm looking for? Self-confidence, I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah.
to be able to sit there and go, you know, you are a resource that I could use. I actually, this particular pastor, I made this offer to him. I
Mhm.
was like, let's sit down and talk. I really think I could help you. And we had a meeting in his office, and I kind of pitched to him what I thought I could do for him and how I could help him be better at what he did in the pulpit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was very, very disappointed because at the conclusion of that meeting, he said to me, I have a question for you. And maybe you could answer this for me. He's like, Genesis chapter 6. If you're not familiar, this is the story. This is the beginning of the story of the flood, where the sons of God come down and saw that the daughters of men were beautiful. And so they took them for women, and the resulting offspring was these creatures called the Nephilim.
Yeah.
He says to me, this story in Genesis chapter 6, he's like, are those actually angels? And I'm like, yeah. They're gods, but for you, yeah, those are angels.
Yeah.
And then he's like, do you think this actually happened? And at that point, I knew he was serious, right? Like, this is somebody who's seriously entertaining the possibility that
Yeah.
actual divine beings came and had sex with human women. That this is something that actually happened. And at that point, I just had to go. But this is the frightening thing, is this is a man who stands up in front of a congregation of hundreds of people, maybe a couple thousand, every week, and dispenses this stuff from the pulpit, and people listen to him. He was a former high school basketball coach, pastoring a church. It's terrifying. Sorry.
I mean, given what you've told me about him, I can't say that surprises me in the least. But
Yeah.
we'll move forward. Thank you. Again,
Let's do that.
my favorite of your stories.
Only through true knowledge can they ascend. And according to this religion, Jesus is the Redeemer who came to communicate that knowledge and liberate man. He communicated this knowledge to selected disciples, one of them being Thomas. In almost all spiritual paths or traditions that are followed, eventually that which is discovered leads to this same ascension. And if these teachings had been placed in the modern Bible, the message may possibly have been clearer and more focused on the power that it...
Of course. Okay. Yeah. So, what is the Gospel of Thomas? Like I said, it's and she introduced it as a Gnostic text. The word is derived from the Greek gnosis, which just means knowledge. But there was a form of early Christianity which really set this this central focus on this idea of secret knowledge as something that was attainable to those who were chosen and part of like this inner sanctum. They had this very dualistic view of the cosmos, whereby the physical world, excuse me, the physical world was inherently evil and disgusting, and that the spiritual world was perfectly pure and good, and the goal of everyone within this worldview was to attain this, that was to throw off the physical, and you would achieve perfection in this totally non-physical existence. It's weird, right? It's just odd. So the truth of the matter is, not all of it, but there's probably some of this that is actually very old. Some of it probably goes back to very early forms of Christianity that we don't really have a lot of access to now. But the fact of the matter is that the Gospel of Thomas, what we have as the Gospel of Thomas, is the texts that they found in the Nag Hammadi library were written in Coptic. Coptic is it's a form. It's like a Semitic language, like Hebrew or Aramaic, but written in Greek letters. Okay, it was very popular in certain parts of Egypt. It was written, so these texts were written in Coptic. The manuscripts themselves date to about the 4th century. So these are, 350, 400 years after Jesus lived. There are fragments of the Gospel of Thomas that were written in Greek that predate this. Some of these go back as early as the I think it's the very early 2nd century. Very excitingly, there's a recent discovery that was made, or I should say a recent publication of a Greek fragment from either the mid or late 2nd century, making it one of the oldest Christian manuscripts of all, that contains text that looks similar to the Gospel of Thomas. So I say all that to say, to note a couple of things at the outset here. What we have as the Gospel of Thomas, we can't reliably date any further back than probably 300. Okay, 350 maybe. But there's certainly parts of the Gospel of Thomas that that we have that are older. But these also date only as far back as about 150 AD. So you're still already, I mean, these are not even as old as the Gospels. Some of the stuff in them might be, but we just don't know. There's a lot of overlap between the Gospel of Thomas and, in particular, stuff that we find in Matthew and Luke, which scholars tend to identify with this hypothetical source called Q, which has suddenly become a dirty word among a number of people. But Q is like,
it's still like the mainstream thing. It's just sort of like kind of popular or trendy to like not to like call it out.
It's
or
edgy.
Something.
Yeah, it's edgy.
What is the thought behind Q? Because I'm on not that I'm a biblical scholar or anything, but like I'm on the fence about what to think about it. I mean, it kind of seems like
so
one of
the basic
things like dark energy, like.
It's kind of like
parallel.
That. It is a very good parallel, I think. I don't know. So Q is stuff.
Explain Q.
That
and
is,
then I can explain dark energy.
So there are 4 Gospels in the New Testament. You're just gonna. Are you just gonna
He's jumping out of his seat.
I'm just spinning. I get excited and I just spin.
Let him go. Let him go. He's gonna be like a little dog chasing his tail for the next 5 minutes, and nobody will be able to pay attention.
It'll be delightful.
All right. Today it's the Dr. Kipp show, so make it quick, Weasel.
Go.
I was just spinning. No, I have nothing to say until he's done, because you made a dark energy thing, and I was going to let him talk about Q, and then I can talk about dark energy.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will start. So Q, so there's 4 Gospels in the New Testament: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. 3 of the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, contain tons of virtually identical material. So for a long time, scholars have recognized that they're together, right? The way this works is Mark, almost universally agreed to have been written first. Matthew is like a rewriting of Mark, and Luke is another rewriting of Mark. They pull extensive material out of Mark and just plug it into their own gospel and massage it a little bit, and then include stuff, additional stuff around that. What we have also discovered is that there's a lot of shared material between Matthew and Luke that does not come from Mark. Scholars have posited that this material comes from a source that we no longer have, but that existed at some point, and they've identified it, they call it Q. Q is short for Quelle, which is the German for source. because all
Wait,
the old biblical scholars were Germans. So
that,
this
that
is
that is true all over physics as well, by the way.
German.
For,
Okay.
yeah. There's a lot of stuff that's
they're
named
all
that
German.
S&P polarizations are both named that way because one of them means parallel and one of them means perpendicular. And in English, that's not helpful because they both start with P. But in German, the word for perpendicular starts with an S, and I don't know what it is. But yeah. Anyway,
Oh
sorry.
no. Yeah, so that's, I mean, in very broad strokes, that's Q. So there is a scholar by the name of Farrier, I don't remember, and I'm probably getting this wrong, who argued fairly persuasively that you don't even need Q, that you could actually make a case for everything in Luke that is shared between Luke and Matthew actually having just originated in Matthew. So the Farrer hypothesis, which has been really popularized by the phenomenally competent biblical scholar at Duke, Mark Goodacre. He's basically popularized this idea that there is no Q, and everything in Mark uh, just comes out of Matthew. I'm not really intimately familiar with it because I'm not so much a New Testament guy, uh, but that's the broad strokes. And honestly, I don't know where to fall. I still Q feels good to me.
So
It
Q
makes
is like
Sounds
sense.
one.
terrible.
Q is one source that all of the
No,
extra
two.
stuff, or two sources. Okay, that
Certain
we
Well,
extra
know.
and
things.
right, like
I don't
this
know
is
that
part of the
it's
problem here,
How do
right?
you? Okay, well,
So
real quick
for a
though.
long, so for
Well, where do you
go
fall
ahead.
on the P not P? Just since we're here.
No, no, I just no,
No.
I won't.
okay.
No,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Um,
Fair enough.
I don't know what that means. Does it mean
are
Paul, not Paul? What?
No.
Okay, never mind then.
We're
Sorry.
talking about how
I'm
many
so dumb.
original writers of the Pentateuch.
Oh yeah. No, I have
oh
heard
And I was
that
that.
wondering,
one?
Yeah.
See,
yeah,
I
I
thought
was
you were
wondering if
talking
you
about.
had a
Oh,
favorite
okay.
number.
So yeah. Okay. I don't. I actually quite like the way. I mean, I'm very much in the same vein as my good friend Dan McClellan, where there's clearly P. That's obvious, and there's Deuteronomy, and you can tease out Deuteronomistic bits from other parts of the Torah, and everything else is kind of up for grabs. So there
Okay,
is
so there's
definitely P,
PD
and
and
there's non-P.
non-PD. Okay.
Non-P. I will say, I do think that there was probably something like a Yahweh source, although it's just too hard
Yeah.
to pull that away from other stuff that are non-P. So yeah,
Yeah.
one of the, I'll just say one more thing. One of the things that I do like in the distinction made between E and J, that's the Yahwist and the Elohist. For people who don't know, there was originally posited four sources of the Pentateuch: P, which is the priestly source; J, which is the Yahweh source; E, which is the Elohist source; and D. It's killing you, isn't it, buddy? You're just sitting there, and it's killing you. Yes.
Somebody in
So,
chat said a thing.
oh,
All
that
right.
might have.
so,
So we're
Okay.
scholars are still fighting
so,
over this, correct?
yeah, they're still fighting over this. One of the things I like about identifying E and J, the Elohist and the Yahweh source, is this idea that the Elohist seems to really like prophets and dreams, and prophecies, whereas Jay is less interested in that kind of stuff. I'm still toying around with that idea. I think there's something to it. It makes it more fun.
So
So, anyways,
like the
Q.
parts of the parts of the story with Jacob, like where he has dreams and stuff, those tend to come preferentially from like one of the sources,
E.
but not from.
Yeah, E tends to have lots of dreams in it. The Joseph cycle with the
that's
with
what I
the
meant,
green
Joseph, not
parts
Jacob.
are yeah. So those are kind of the E things. You know, when you pull apart the sources, you see it pretty clearly where in the E material or the non-P material in this case, you know, Joseph is the dreamer. And you could really, when I don't know if I've done a video on sources of the Pentateuch where I've actually done this, where I've done an English story and I've like pulled it right apart, and I've called one of them Joseph the Dreamer, and the other one the coat of Joseph and the coat of many colors or something, because those are two separate stories that were then you know mashed together, right?
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Yeah, that makes
Pretty
sense.
brilliantly so as well. And in one story, you know, Jacob is consistently called Israel, and in the other story, he's consistently called Jacob. In one story, Judah is the one who decides to save Joseph from being sold into slavery unsuccessfully, and in the other story, Reuben is the one who decides to save Joseph from being sold
Yeah,
into slavery.
that's the part of the story that has the most friction is when they do
The slavery
when
bit.
they trap him and the slavery bit,
With
because
Ephraimites,
it says
and,
a thing.
is it the
Yeah,
Ephraimites, the Midianites, or sorry, not the Amalekites or the Midianites? It's wild. So, anyways,
Yeah.
sorry, that was a tangent, wasn't it? We
But
were talking about Q.
yeah, so the idea that I know is like that
Dark
Q
energy.
is a hypothetical thing to explain
We have
certain
no Q.
phenomena, but we don't necessarily have an example of Q sitting in front of us that we can be like, oh, this is what this particular text says, and we can compare it directly to this thing. So we don't have a tangible, clear, precise model of what Q is as an actual like thing that we see that we can then compare to how we're deriving Q. So, dark energy.
Yes.
So, dark energy. Dark energy is a conclusion that arises in a very similar way. And I think that it has a lot going for it. So dark energy was like discovered in 1998. Like if you had to put a single year on it, it was 1998. And that might be actually
Shut up.
1998.
That seems very
recent.
Yeah, like you were even born and shit.
I was born and shit and everything, and this is one of the things that people should keep in mind. Because it was awarded the Nobel Prize in 2010. It's not very often that you get the discovery or the accomplishment followed within 12 years, honestly, even, by a Nobel Prize. Like, my advisor, he was one of the first people to discover Bose-Einstein condensation in 1995. He got the Nobel Prize in 2001. But that's like really a short amount of time and totally a not at all subtle flex to, you know, brag that I'm good at physics or something. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Anyway.
You flex.
But so dark energy is the observation that we have models that predict a whole suite of like facts about what we observe. You can argue that they retrodict because science, like any responsible discipline, is going to update as it responds to the data. But the idea is that on the whole, everything is moving away from us. All of these galaxies and everything else. And the stuff that's really, 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 really far away, we're seeing it from when it was moving away from us at a certain rate. And the stuff that's closer but still really far away, we're seeing it from when it's moving away from us at a more recent rate. And it turns out that that stuff shows that we're moving away even faster now than we were a billion years ago. And that's kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
And it all you have to do is add one term the lambda parameter to the equations for general relativity, and that is sort of explained. We don't have a more fundamental theory that explains like why that lambda parameter is and what it is and whatnot. And there's a lot of conflict actually, because one of the most famous, if not the most famous problem in modern physics is the so-called Hubble tension, which is the precise measurement of how far stuff is moving away. And there are two big, like, sort of not particularly overlapping ways of calibrating and measuring that, and they disagree by quite a bit. Actually, I was watching Professor Park's PhD in the chat. I was watching a video that he had with Whitsitt like 7 months ago, and he said, like, I think it might be like two.
Did you say
Whitsitt, Austin Whitsitt.
We don't like saying these names.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't like saying these names 3 times or more.
Yeah, but we should have.
We don't believe in
Where he's
seances
gonna
here.
show up.
Yeah, no.
You laugh.
Possible.
You laugh.
It's possible, but I think it's more like six. I think it's more like 7 orders of magnitude. It's one of the biggest problems, biggest tensions, experimental tensions in modern physics. The only other one that I can sort of think of that's sort of comparable is the proton radius problem. And yet people don't suddenly think protons don't exist! Anyway.
Gentlemen,
Soapbox achieved.
If we keep going on with all your government shilling here, conspiracies that they force on us in grade school, or whatever trolls like to say to me.
Yeah, because apparently they didn't learn the water cycle in grade school, which I totally did, and
as did I. 3rd grade even.
yes,
You know. But that was all government conspiracies. We're about to find the truth of manifesting winning lottery numbers with your thoughts. So if you could just shut the fuck up so we can all figure out how to ohm our way into success.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself.
And prosperity.
You host the show with him every week, Maya.
Exactly. I don't understand why. Look, he just got like a month ago one of his like government shill checks. I have a picture of it in my community.
Oh,
tab.
really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
He was a happy little camper.
So before we continue, I gotta say, I don't know if you guys know, but there's no Nobel Prize for like theology or biblical studies or anything.
Oh, wait a minute. I already know this. I already know this. Do you know that his advisor got a Nobel Prize for something once? All right. Now that that's out of the way. Now that we covered it, on with the movie.
I have more badass physics credentials I can pull out of my ass if you want.
His grandfather was also Thor. All right.
Basically.
All the things.
Wow.
The message may possibly have been
Stick
clearer
flex, brah.
and more focused on the power that is held within each person. The Gospel according to Thomas doesn't tell a story. It's a compilation of approximately 114 sayings attributed to Jesus.
Do they get
The
points
opening
for
words
being
of
right
the
about
document
stuff?
read,
No.
"These are the
this
secret
isn't a
words
Dapper
which
show.
Jesus, the living one, spoke." And
I
Didymus
read
Thomas
this.
wrote down.
Because they get so much
And he
wrong
said,
that if we gave them points for
"Whosoever
being right,
finds the
I would just be
interpretation
giving
of these
alcohol
sayings
poisoning to my
shall never
chat
taste death."
every week. And I kind of need them to live.
Oh, otherwise you'll never get to 500.
Just saying though. I don't
It's
ask
true.
for much.
It's true.
Just
So I think she's just gonna go through some of the sayings here. I
we
read
don't
a
have to go
couple.
through the sayings because
So
Dr. Kipp already did that for us.
oh,
Okay, here, this,
are
yes.
we just gonna get to the
Preaching.
dude here?
Preaching. It's the nonsense for us. You're muted. You're muted. You're still muted.
Those around him.
It's Greg with 2 G's. The
Are
Italian
you
stallion.
serious?
Yeah. Yeah, no, see? Watch. See? Greg. Right here.
Oh.
Greg with 2 G's. The Italian
It's
stallion.
like
Words
Italian
of
stallion.
Jesus,
Or he's
as he
descended
was
from the
teaching
Nephilim.
those around him how to use the power of human emotion in his life. And if the indigenous people know it, and if the ancient people know it, why don't we know it? What happened to our knowledge? Well, this is a very good question.
Oh,
And the
yes,
answer is
very good
this.
question. Hold on a second,
In
guys.
our Western
I'm not
So-
sure we could, yeah, okay.
What is this fascination with the stuff that ancient people knew that is somehow supposed to be so much better for us?
Oh, I can
Over
answer
knowledge
that.
is better.
Yeah, because they didn't have all the electronics taking our mind off of what really matters, and they didn't have to worry about like tilling the soil or working themselves to death for the rich like we all do. They just had time to own themselves into higher dimensions and higher vibrational frequencies, so that they could see God.
Wow.
Totally a real thing.
That's got to be it, eh?
No,
So,
they say
I mean,
this.
seriously, though.
No, I am not making this up. Like, people always look at me like I'm
That's not-
half crazy. I am regurgitating information.
Maya, when I do that whole thing where I'm like, wow, yeah, that totally makes... I'm not mocking you. I'm mocking the people that believe it. I believe you that people believe it, okay?
Yes.
I know you do, because you sit here with me every week.
Well, that and when I was at the
I believe
eclipse in 2017, and we were leaving, there was a woman who had a sign out and a blanket full of crystals who said that she was charging them.
Yeah,
And
no,
I ju-
whoa. You don't have to charge.
I
the
didn't
eclipse?
interact with them. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, by the
okay.
eclipse.
Oh, you know what? That makes sense. Okay, because you charge your crystals with sunlight and moonlight. So the eclipse is perfect. You get the sunlight and the moonlight together. So they're like supercharged.
Together.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh.
and I just
Oh my
I
gosh.
looked
I
at
never
her and
thought
I
to
was
do
like,
that. God, duh.
I
Where is
looked
the
at
next
her-
eclipse?
Oh,
I have
wouldn't
to book a flight.
April like 4th in like Texas actually. Hold on, Maya.
Sir.
If you
But wouldn't that be like wouldn't that like when you put the positive terminal on the negative terminal and like wouldn't it cause like blow up your crystals or
Why
something
do you get
like
these
that?
government shows on our channel? I don't know.
because they're all I know, Maya.
He's not getting it. Like, it's not that hard. Like, you have the sun
So,
and the moon,
listen.
and it's like
The sun is made of matter and the moon is made of antimatter, right?
no,
So
those
one
things
of the
cancel each other out.
things
You get the double oomph with the sun moon music, sun
I don't
moon
know, man.
vibrational
That-
energy,
that-
Double oomph.
a double oomph.
I have-
It's more vibration.
I have-
It's more.
I
I'm
have
sorry.
stuck a key in the light socket before. This feels wrong to me. I don't know if that
No,
makes
that's
sense.
not. That's not how you charge. You have to bathe in the light of the
Oh.
sun. Well, you know what would help, like actually being in the sun, and then you have to astral project out of your body, so that
Well, you're
if
not
you
going to have a
get-
choice. Your body's going to do that on its own.
But
Yeah, well-
what if you live in a place like I do,
Uh-huh.
out on the Pacific Northwest, where the sun just doesn't shine?
That's what the astral projection is
Until
for. It's like he
June.
doesn't even listen.
Move down to the Bay Area and you and I can hang out.
Look, you
That's
gotta
what you should
meditate, and you have to astral project out of your body. So, and then you can fly high above the clouds, and so that your whole soul
Oh.
or
Like I learned in the sacred
aura,
mushroom in the cross.
your
All
aura,
right.
your aura
I
and
got it
chakra
now.
center, yeah, like your whole chakra center and aura has to get like cleansed in the sunlight.
So, importantly, none of that stuff is in the Gospel of Thomas. Importantly.
Well,
The
no,
chakras and the sun and the moon stuff and
don't-
it's not in there.
you don't
Listen,
think that.
one
You
of
don't
the
think that.
things.
But they're hidden teachings. It's the
What
hidden
are you,
teachings.
some kind of academic?
So one of the things that drives me absolutely crazy is people
like
who
me.
don't know stuff. Not like you. People who actually don't know things will drive me crazy with two things. on the one hand, there's this idea that the ancient people knew everything, and somehow we've lost all this knowledge. So, like, tell me you've never studied ancient history without telling me you've never studied ancient history, because the ancient world was hard.
Yeah.
Most people struggled just to survive. It wasn't a great place anywhere. Uh, I mean, we've got it so good now that we can spend the time. I mean, we've been doing this for an hour and a half, just, bullshitting with our drinks in hand about nonsense.
He does it right. Is that whiskey?
In the
I'm jealous.
It is. It's wild turkey. My son bought it for me for Christmas.
Yeah, he came to play. He came to play. All right, Weasel,
Yeah,
you redeemed yourself.
See? Exactly. The NASA shill chat room, great chat room, just saying.
And when I say Western, I'm assuming that we are of the Judeo-Christian tradition.
Oh, stop
I'm
it
talking
there.
about.
No, you can't. We can't
No,
stop
yes, you
there.
can.
We
Yes,
stop
we can.
there.
No, you said
I have to stop it
Judeo-Christian.
because
I have to go on my Nazi
he
rant.
said Judeo-Christian.
See?
I have to.
He
Listen.
has to. If
Listen.
he doesn't, I will.
It's
a Nazi rant.
There is no
we
such
can't let
thing.
one go by.
There's no such thing as Judeo-Christian people. It's not a thing. Okay.
I mean, I feel like that's the Dennis Prager and what's the other guy's name?
There's so many.
The guy who
Shapiro?
Ben Shapiro, the guy who a dumb person's idea of what a smart person is like is Ben Shapiro. Sorry.
There's so many. I'm sorry.
So,
Dr. Kipp was speaking.
Judeo-Christian is a made-up word. Sorry, guys.
No,
Judeo-Christian is a made-up word
Stop using it.
to cover for terrible social policies. And that is it.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is that for most of recorded history of the existence of these two very separate and distinct groups of Jews and Christians, they're not the same. They're not. And they never were. And let's stop trying to make this a thing. Okay? Because Judaism is its own thing. Its own religious tradition. And Christianity is its own thing. Its own religious tradition. And they honestly have almost nothing to do with one another beyond the fact that they read some of the same books. That's it.
Yeah, but like the morals of the stories or like how the text should be written, like none of that even remotely overlaps even.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, I remember reading, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was it was Christine. What's that chick from Yale?
From Yale?
Yeah, it's Christine something.
I'm
sorry.
I'm
She was
sorry,
talking
I'm
about
blanking on it too.
Genesis and how the meaning, the moral of the story of Genesis.
Hayes. Christine Hayes.
Yes,
right?
her.
It's
Yeah,
Christine
I knew it
Hayes.
started with an H. Thank you. And she's talking about, God kicked Adam and Eve out of the garden so that they could not eat from the tree of life. He put two angels with flaming swords, which meant the moral of the story was you can never, ever, ever hope to obtain eternal life. Stop it. Which was a thing from, was it the 7 tablets of is it Gilgamesh or the Enuma-Elish?
The Enuma.
The Enuma.
Okay.
Yeah, weren't there
yeah.
7 tablets there?
Uh,
Something like that.
Yes, could be. Yes.
I'm pretty sure it was an odd number. I feel like it might have been 11. But
I heard
don't
that
know.
that's why 7 was considered a holy number. was because they
I don't
started
think
it with the
that's it.
7 tablets, but I could be wrong. She did not say that, but
Okay.
somebody else had said that, and I was just wondering if that was a thing. But she did not say that. What she was saying is like in the Enuma Elish, they were constantly searching for not the tree of life, but there was a plant that gave everlasting life.
Oh, you might be
DMT.
thinking of actually the Epic of Gilgamesh there.
Okay.
So,
But yeah, she was saying it was taken from that, where you're coming from a culture
yep.
that where you're trying to search eternal life, and then and this is saying stop searching for that. Think about what's going on down here, and that was the moral of the story of. Well, I mean, there's a couple of morals in there, but like that was kind of the meaning
Yeah.
of the end of that, like why they were kicked out of the garden, why they were angels, and why like that's what you were to conclude from that. That there is not everlasting life that cannot be obtained, and that how she was talking about how Christians read something different. So Christians, of course, everlasting life is the goal. So you have to read into it differently. So they put into it eternal. Oh, this is where sin came from, and
Mm-hmm.
why we're immoral and horrible people, and why we need God so much. But they had to do something with the story to make it not about what it
Exactly.
was actually about. Um,
Exactly.
you had
Now,
to
I
Christianize
need
it.
I need people to understand what I'm saying here. So because I've been looking at the chat a little bit.
Oh
So
yeah, I don't look
both
at the chat when I talk. Sorry.
Judaism, as we understand, sorry, as we understand, both Judaism as we have it and Christianity as we have it, these are both, um, they come from the same source. They are both originally expressions of Judaism, although I would say that Christianity pretty quickly moved too far away. There's a lot of infusion of Greco-Roman religion in there pretty early, already in the late first century. That makes it pretty distinct compared to other forms of Judaism. Uh, so they both have their roots in early Judaism, but Christianity is not the same thing, and in so many respects, they're just not even that close to each other. They're just not. The idea that there's something that's a Judeo-Christian worldview or a Judeo-Christian ethic is just a way of trying to promote some sort of common social ideal that's artificial. And I think it's for a lot of people it's really offensive.
Yeah, it is. It is. And certainly, I mean, I know a lot of it is trying to take people of color out of the Abrahamic faiths.
Mm.
And I don't want to
Yeah,
go on
right.
my
I never. Yeah.
tirade, but
Wow. You're right.
it's offensive to me when people, especially
Yeah.
atheists, talk about Judeo-Christian values, because having dated Christians and having dated Jews, it kind of blows my brain to hear that because they
Yeah.
don't even have the same values, honestly. But
Very
okay,
true.
moving on. We
Yeah.
I'll talk
Sorry.
about this more in a different stream, but we couldn't let that go. All right, and here's the part where you get to
I
be
couldn't let
right
it go.
and like
All
press
right.
the play button.
Wait, what? There, sorry.
This
There we go.
field and
You
the
hear me?
language of emotion was part of our tradition. It was in our texts until the 4th century, the year 325 AD. In the year 325, something happened. Our texts were edited, and we lost tremendous amounts of information. The Emperor Constantine,
Oh,
in the
oh,
early Christian church,
Oh.
with the early Christian Bible,
this is gonna be
had to
bad,
make
isn't it?
decisions. What information do we include? What information do we
All right.
exclude?
Okay.
Uh,
Let's stop it.
All right,
This
this is
is
gonna be the
straight
rest
up
of the
Dan
video.
Brownian. This is straight up Dan
Yeah.
Brownian.
Oh yeah, it is. It totally is. Wow. But this is I know he's not. He's like a wooey spiritist, right?
He
But
looks like a cult
this
leader.
is straight up.
Well,
Am
I
I
mean,
not
you're
right?
not wrong.
They
He's
all
got.
great hair, don't they? All the cult leaders.
I mean,
well, except the Hail Bob guy, but
I'm
like
doing
all
my
the other
best.
cult leaders.
It's not
You
very
and me.
good.
Look,
But
the chat's going to ridicule him
uh,
for his looks. Let's talk about the content.
okay, all right. So, but isn't that just like that's internet atheism, isn't it? That Constantine invented Christianity, or Constantine was the source of all the problems with
Well, let's not leave
with
Paul
the
out of
Bible.
this.
Right? Yes. Let's not. So, um, yeah, this is there's such a. I think the idea, and it's an easy one to latch onto, because we have this famous council, this famous church council that occurred in Rome shortly after Constantine um, uh, decided that Christianity was going to be the state religion. We have this council where they've got to sort some things out, and one of the well-worn myths is that at the Council of Nicaea, which is what this guy is talking about, that took place in the 4th century, they cobbled together the Bible and then edited it. This is nonsense. So the Bible, as we have, well, first of all, let's talk about what the Bible is. The Bible is a collection of sacred texts. And we have not just one of them, we have many of them. One of the things that this guy is completely ignoring here is the fact that the Eastern Church has their own set of scriptures which are quite different from the Western Church. You know, in the Eastern Church canon, we have texts such as First Enoch. We have extra psalms like 153 and 154 and 155. You know, it's the idea.
Was it not long enough?
Is,
Was it not long
listen,
enough? I mean,
listen.
yeah.
I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy, because I say put it all in. But yeah, if you're a nerd like me, then that's what you do. So no, there wasn't just one Bible. Scripture is an idea, and it's this idea of literature. There's texts that we think are ancient, that we think are special, that we're going to read on a regular basis and we're going to pay close attention to. And as you can imagine, these collections were not all the same. They varied from one community to another, which is why the Eastern Church has a completely different canon than the Western Church. But this is stuff that was going on for centuries, way back into the pre-Christian period already. You have writers toying with the idea of putting individual Jewish texts together as part of a group of scriptures. There's some hint of this already in the Dead Sea Scrolls. You have a hint of this in Josephus. You possibly have some thought of this as far back as the great Jewish philosopher Sirach, who was writing way back in the. This is missing is that already in the 2nd and 3rd century, like 100 years before the Council of Nicaea, Christians putting together texts. You have individual manuscripts of collections of just like Paul's letters or of the Gospels. So this is a well-worn idea that people are already developing to. So by the time we get to Nicaea, there's people by and large are in agreement about what we consider to be our Christian scriptures. The letters of Paul, the four Gospels, maybe something like First and Second Peter, or the Epistle to the Hebrews. So it's not like this was some sort of thing that was cobbled together in 325 AD. This is stuff that was out there.
Question.
Yeah.
You mentioned the letters of Paul. So my understanding of the letters of Paul are that there are 14 that were like historically at some point kind of grouped under letters of Paul. 7 of them are accepted by the majority of scholars, and those are like the undisputed Pauline ones. One of them, it might be Hebrews, is like iffy, and then the other 6 are not accepted by the majority. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe I
so
got it
there
wrong
is
on the Hebrews bit. But
you're half right there. There are 14 letters that are attributed to Paul.
yes,
In the New Testament.
yeah, that's what I meant. Yes, yeah.
Right? Yes.
Like Timothy
So,
and I
First
don't
and
think
Second
you wrote
Timothy,
Timothy.
Titus, Ephesians, Colossians, Second Thessalonians are all attributed to Paul, and most scholars will tell you that First and Second Timothy and Titus are definitely not, and I think Second Thessalonians definitely not written by Paul. And then you've got letters like Ephesians and Colossians, which scholars will say probably not written by Paul, but we don't feel quite as strongly about these as the other ones. So you have 7 Pauline letters: Romans, Galatians, First and Second Corinthians, Philippians, Philemon. I'm missing one. Chat, help me out. It doesn't matter. So you've got 7 authentic Pauline letters, and then you've
Galatians.
got these. Thank
Did
you.
you say Galatians?
I don't know if I said Galatians.
I don't think you. I don't think you said Galatians.
I'll take it. So yeah, but you're tracking on the right idea here, right? Like we have, there's certainly historical dispute about the outlines of even what we consider Pauline. This is, beyond the question of canon. And yes, for the letter that was written to the Hebrews is anonymous, and for a long time it was attributed to Paul. There were groups that thought, yes, this is something that was written by Paul, but scholars have developed tools over centuries, over decades, of how to interrogate this literature in an effort to understand where it came from. Right? We use internal clues such as the philosophy or the theology of the writer, combined with a literary style, the usage of certain words or turns of phrases, as a way to suggest to us, yes, this belongs to a particular writer and this doesn't, even though it might have been attributed to him. So yeah, I mean, there's a ton of stuff that is totally up for grabs here. But when it comes to the Bible, this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with these collections of texts that were passed down to us. And yeah, in many respects, the reason why a lot of this stuff was lost was not because it was being like edited out of the canon as if it contains stuff that's off the wall and nefarious, so much as it's just not worth continuing. It's just not worth our time and energy to continue to copy this. One of the things about as a textual scholar, one of the things that you discover, and this is true, in all the literature that you deal with, is that stuff gets copied because it's useful to to an individual or to a community, and if it's not, then nobody copies it, and it just disappears. It gets lost. That's how texts get lost. And we have just a tiny fraction of the literature that was produced in the Roman period for this reason, because people just decided it's not worth my time, energy, and expense, because this was a very costly enterprise just to copy text and to continue to reproduce text. It's just not worth the time and energy to do it. It gets lost. That's how it happens. It's not sexy. It's not altogether that interesting for most people, but that's the truth. Is stuff just gets lost because people can't be bothered to copy it anymore. That's how it happens.
Do you mind answering this question right here? What's the distinction between scripture and the Bible? I know.
Boy, that's most of that's probably accidental, but that's actually a really good question. So the Bible is what we have today. If you're a Protestant, that's 66 books, 44 in the Old Testament, 22 in the New Testament. I think it's 22, isn't it? Doesn't matter. If you're a Catholic, there's a lot.
I mean,
more.
I was going to say it
If you're
depends on.
a lot
Yeah.
more. Right, yeah.
Yeah,
If
I know
you're
Catholics have the different than
Jewish,
Protestants, and then the Ethiopian Church has different books. And
Don't even
yeah.
get me started on the weasel doctrines.
I
Don't
just
worry,
found out that
we
there is an
won't.
LGBT Bible the other day. So the Bible,
Yeah, right.
yeah. What is scripture? Let's go.
So
with that.
so what is scripture? When I use this term scripture, this is one of the problems here that we're dealing with is that the idea of canon or Bible is something that developed quite a bit later than a lot of the texts that we're talking about. So when I talk about Bible, usually this is like post 400. By the time that the church had, the Western and the Eastern church and then the Ethiopian church individually had settled on their own collections of what they considered to be scripture, that becomes a Bible. And we have many of those. Scripture is a term that I use with regards to ancient literature that was viewed to be special or authoritative on some level without a clear understanding of what even that word means, authoritative. You can talk about scriptures as early as the time of Jesus, where for most Jews, the Torah, the first 5 books of Moses, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, were considered to be scripture. That is useful, authoritative text. But this isn't a Bible at this point because nobody's putting, boundaries on this and saying this is, the only word of God.
Also, I don't know that. Yes, but one detail that I was going to add to sort of your discussion at the end there was that people back then were very unlikely, except for a very, very select group, to have exposure to more than 5 versions of a particular text, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like 5 independent versions, vanishingly rare. 2 independent versions, vast majority would only have access to one. Vast majority, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So some of the questions that become evident when you actually have a systematic, careful, systematized review of the documents that are available to actually try and understand the message that's being passed down from the authors, the inherent problems that arise don't even become obvious until you have enough data.
That's true.
So when they said the Torah was authoritative, which version? It's not even a question they could answer. Yeah.
Right?
They didn't even, yeah.
And I mean, we know that the Samaritans, who were and this one I didn't even mention. We have this other sect of Jews called the Samaritans, who were pretty wildly different from the rest of the Jews in Jerusalem and the Galilee and those places. But they worshipped on Mount Gerizim as opposed to the temple in Jerusalem. They had their own Torah, and it's different from the Torah that survives in the rabbinic Bible, the Tanakh, what we call the Masoretic text, is different from the Torah that survives in the Christian Bibles, which is which was basically came out of the Septuagint, the Greek translation. But you're exactly right here. One of the things that's really interesting when you investigate the historical writers from the time, people like Josephus or like Philo, one of the things that's interesting is when it comes to the differences, excuse me, the differences between the individual Jewish sects. Yes, they make a point of talking about the fact that the Samaritans only recognize the first 5 books of Moses as authoritative, as opposed to like the Pharisees. But one thing that nobody ever talks about is how different the versions of these are. Like Josephus never says anything about varieties of copies of individual books. The book of Jeremiah survives. Now that's a good question too. If anybody would have known, I think Josephus would have.
Yeah.
Right? Because Josephus was like he was a diplomat. He was part of the upper crust. He was
he allegedly used
Hebrew and Aramaic and Greek. Like he was, yeah.
He allegedly used a fascinating math problem to ensure his own survival when they all had to do the group suicide thing. Like, I'm sure that's BS, but like, is it actual? Like, there's a kernel of truth. I would not be at all surprised if he was like, you know what, this isn't looking good. I'm going to arrange to be the guy who surrenders. Like, I can believe it. I'm just saying.
All right,
He's a
let's
smart
try
guy.
to get through
What
some
can
of
I
this.
say? Sorry, guys.
No, we
It's
brought you here
mostly my
exactly for
fault.
this.
Yeah. I'm a Canadian, so I'm going to say sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Probably
You have to.
67 words.
Yeah, it's like a involuntary. Like,
Yeah,
I think
it
because every
totally is. It
Canadian,
really totally is.
every Canadian, like have like sorry Tourette's.
It's part of our cultural heritage.
Why are you not? There we go.
And what we know now is that at least 45 books were either completely taken away or tremendously edited into what we call today our Western biblical tradition. And
So
when those edits were made...
Remember what I said, not taken away, just, forgotten. Because people decided, I'm not interested in copying this anymore. There's not something particularly nefarious going on here. And edited. I need to say something about that. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we find throughout the scriptural text, throughout the ancient literature of early Judaism and of early Christianity, is that people were making changes to the text all the time. This is not something that just happened suddenly in 325 AD. This is something that was ongoing, which is why we have so many different types of individual texts that we have. I was going to mention the book of Jeremiah, for example, survives in 2 separate versions. One we know from the Septuagint, but we actually have Hebrew copies of from the Dead Sea Scrolls, and then one we know from the Masoretic text, which is the form of the text that was preserved by the Pharisees, the rabbinic Jews. So the two versions of Jeremiah are so dramatically different that the Masoretic version is actually 13% longer. And then in a completely different arrangement. Now, the book of Jeremiah is roughly 58,000 words. It is actually, word for word, the longest book in the Old Testament.
I was going to ask you that. No, I did know that. I was going to ask you because I was going to feel so smart about it. Sorry.
The Masoretic version, at least, but 55. I mean, that's I'm not a. You should be able to do the math here. You're a PhD in physics and shit, right? So
yeah, sure, but you totally cut out for like 10 seconds there, so I didn't hear the numbers.
I thought it was just
actually
me.
True. No, actually true, but
but that's thousands of words, guys. It's thousands of words that are like totally different. And beyond that, it's in a completely different arrangement. One of the things that you discover...
that means even more, almost, right?
Oh, man. Yes. I did my PhD working in text of Jeremiah. And one of the wild things that you see is when you look at the Septuagint version compared to like the Masoretic version, in the Septuagint, just to put it simply, Egypt is the bad guy. Egypt's terrible. It's everything, is Egypt's fault, and the book itself is structured in such a way where it emphasizes the culpability of Egypt as the evil power. Now, in the Masoretic version, one of the reasons for the rearrangement of material and additional material is they've switched culpability from Egypt to Babylon. And so now Babylon is the bad guy. All the bad stuff is about Egypt is still in there, but it's all superseded by Babylonian stuff. It's pretty wild, the way in which the agenda of the writer of this heavily edited version of Jeremiah has shifted the focus of culpability away from Egypt and onto Babylon, while still maintaining the original text and simply adding to it and rearranging material. But all that to say, with regards to what this guy's talking about, like, editing is something that has been taking place for centuries. And it's prolific, and it's not, and it's also not something that anybody is shy about. So the early Christians came out of Judaism. This is what the early Jews did with their texts. When things were unclear or ambiguous or just wrong, they changed them. They changed it or they expanded it in an effort to explain it, because that's just what you did. You just did that.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 3 scholars in your chat earlier today, and you were saying that, I think you were arguing over whether or not the Jubilee was actually honored, or
Right.
I think that's the best way to
people
not even just celebrate it, but honored.
If it was just the ceremony.
Yeah, and they were like, even though God said you're to forgive someone every 49 years, they were still taking the privilege or the liberty of writing in, we don't give a fuck what your God says, into their contracts to make sure that they got paid, regardless of what year it was.
Absolutely.
We're at 501 subscribers.
This, Maya.
Maybe I'm not.
Listen,
I'm not. I love. I love all of you so much. I'm not convinced that some of those aren't tantamount to
The weasels, yeah.
weasels.
I have
We'll
multiple. I
talk at
have.
the we'll talk at the end of the stream. I
All
am
right.
watching
Okay.
I am
All right.
watching the
So
stuff now.
I wanted to say though, it's even simpler than this, Maya. You have, remember what I said, the Gospel of Mark came first.
Yes.
Then you have Matthew and Luke, who basically took Mark and added a whole bunch of shit to it and changed a whole bunch of shit. You already have this taking place. Why? What is the reason for writing something like the Gospel of Matthew? What's the reason for that?
Propaganda?
It's because Mark is not adequate. You have to fix it.
Right. Oh,
Right?
right. Yeah,
Luke,
because
exactly the
they
same
had
thing.
Jesus doing a bunch of things that Jews would not do, right? In Mark, was it
What
Mark?
happened? Yeah.
Yeah, and then
No,
like
it would have been
was
the
it? I think
later
Ehrman
stuff.
was saying like they're like the path that Jesus took. It's just like it's trying to go from like Baltimore to Ohio by way of like New Orleans or something crazy like that. So like yeah, they
But
I think Matthew was to clean up Mark, and then I can't remember what Luke was, but John
he's
could
also
almost get his
cleaning up
own.
Mark, but in his own special way, right?
Yeah,
Like this is what, like, when you look at, it's super fun to look at the individual stories across these three gospels. Like what one of the ones that's consistent in all of them is like the baptism of Jesus. In the Gospel of Mark, John baptizes Jesus and he comes up and then it says, uh, it's like a small voice that only Jesus hears. You are my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased.
yes,
Then when you read the Gospel of Matthew, it's like John has to kind of fall all over himself about how unworthy he is to baptize Jesus and has to ask permission to baptize Jesus. Right? And Jesus is
right.
like, yeah, okay, go ahead. And
Yeah,
then, he baptizes him, and the voice is like this booming voice. I am God, and this is my son, and I'm well pleased in him. Right? Like they're covering for problems that they see in Mark,
right,
and that's why we
right.
have these other gospels. But yeah, we should probably continue, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
We lost the
I'm
information that tells us everything is connected. We lost the information that tells us the language that speaks to this field. We know the information was lost because we are now recovering the information in the Dead Sea Scrolls,
lost biblical
in the Nag
books.
Hammadi
Oh,
library,
in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
in the Coptic
Yeah.
texts.
Yeah.
So
Could probably have you on like every Sunday for the next month to clean up the errors in this video.
No, when we have you on again, we should start with this. Like, we should totally
Yeah,
do
5
it. We
minutes
should totally
into
keep
the
going.
video.
Yeah, no,
oh
this is.
God.
No, this
brutal.
reminds me.
We're
Like
not,
I
we're not
did a
finishing
stream.
it. It's not a thing that's happening.
With Zach Dino a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, and we were just trying to clean up the errors of Matt Powell's abortion argument. It was half an hour. Took us 5 because like
Oh,
you couldn't get through half a sentence
when,
without finding something to correct him
I
on.
believe it.
when we had Dapper Dino on in like September, I want to say,
Something like that. Yeah.
it ended up being 3 hours, but
We're not gonna make you put you through that, but
well, also at the rate we're going, it wouldn't be
You had
3
me
hours.
off.
It would be 10. It would be 10 hours.
no, which is why we're talking about
So-
having him on later. I know
Yeah.
it's been 2 hours,
So this is,
and I
yeah,
hope it's
listen,
been fun.
guys. Oh,
What's up?
it totally has, and I mean, yeah, yeah. So I actually booked off 3 hours, but
Oh, yay.
All right.
but so that's cool. Whatever you guys want to do is totally fine by me. But one of the things, this is a well-worn conspiracy trope. This is Dan Brown kind of shit right here, right?
Right.
Oh,
All you
wonderful.
have to do is say the Dead Sea Scrolls. They contain
Oh, it's the
all the
Nikola
secret.
Tesla of scripture.
All, yeah, yes, yeah, it is. Oh my god. So, and it's astonishing to me because this gets thrown out there, and people have absolutely no clue what's actually in the text. I gave you just a little hint. We have copies of biblical books in this collection of literature, right?
Hmm.
Most of the rest of it is comprised of there's a set of legal material. There's rules and stipulations about what it means to be part of this community. This appears in texts like the community rule, or the Damascus document, or something called Maaseh. Oh shit, I'm too drunk for this. To do the
Hey.
Hebrew. Uh, it's called Some Works of the Torah, and the abbreviation for that is 4QMMT. So we have these collections of these individual texts, which are just rules about how you're supposed to behave yourself while you're living within this community. So that's some of the texts. We have other texts, which are most of them actually among the Dead Sea Scrolls probably consist of like beautiful, really well written hymns, prayers, songs, very similar to things that you find in like the Book of Psalms that we never even knew of before. There's a whole manuscript called the Chodayot, and that's the Hebrew word which means Thanksgiving hymns. And it's this enormous collection of completely original poetry, uh, of these hauntingly beautiful songs of praise and prayers to Yahweh and to God. In addition to that, you have lots of wisdom literature, instructions, similar to stuff that you find in the book of Proverbs or the book of Ecclesiastes. Then you have all this interesting, massive amounts of interesting, different versions of stories that take place in the book of Genesis, or in the book of Jeremiah, or Ezekiel, or the book of Daniel. And then, in addition to that, you have calendars, because these people were absolutely obsessed with making sure that they were observing the calendar correctly. You have an insane number of text devoted to just this one topic of ensuring that you're observing the right calendar. I mean, the collection is vast and it's relatively varied. There are some, consistent themes that pop up here and there. Anything that was taking place within Christianity. It just doesn't. Nothing at all. Sorry, I had to get that
No,
out there.
no, I love it. I love it because I listen to it and I'm just like, wow, that sounds like some bullshit. And then I have you to be like, oh, let
Yeah,
me
right.
tell you.
Yeah, it's a bullshit.
Yeah, no, it's
And
totally a thing.
it's a
People,
trope. You just
yes,
mentioned the Dead Sea Scrolls, right? It's this esoteric collection of literature that nobody actually understands. Therefore, magic. Welcome to my
See,
world.
you do get it. You do get it. I
I,
told you it
it
wasn't that hard.
it really is, as Maya mentioned earlier. It really is the Nikola Tesla of ancient,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, and so when we
like,
say that,
archaeological literature.
yeah, but like when we say that, what we
Oh,
mean is like a lot of people they give science bullshit, right? And
Oh,
then to back up their claim, they show a picture of Nikola Tesla while they're talking,
yeah.
which is kind of like a what do you call it, an appeal to authority. Like, well, I'm showing this picture of Nikola Tesla while I'm
Yeah.
talking about it. So therefore, Nikola Tesla, you should believe that Nikola Tesla not only believe but endorses what I'm saying. And since Nikola Tesla, we all know, was the smartest of smart guys, therefore, what I'm saying is real and true, and you should believe it.
Nikola Tesla was a terrible physicist. He was a great inventor. He was a terrible physicist. The two are not contradictory ideas. Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
He was a great inventor. He understood electricity in ways that other people did not at the time. But he was off his rocker.
Didn't you have a grandfather that like took government shill money to kill off Tesla or something?
No. So my grandfather,
Dr. Tapioca Weasel?
Yeah, no, his family's nefarious.
you
Do you
had
know
a
that they also own my
grandfather-
family as slaves?
that's
He owes
not
me
true.
reparations.
They own slaves. There's no evidence to
And my
suggest that
family
we
was
owned their
slaves.
family.
Therefore, you owe me reparations, goddammit.
That's not how that works.
I gotta say, that's crazy.
Well, no, I totally
I've
made that up
never
in my
used
head.
the Tapioca
And to
Maya?
verify that what I'm saying is true, here's a handy picture of Nikola Tesla.
Fair. You know, I didn't see a picture of Nikola Tesla. Wait, was there a picture of Nikola
Damn it.
Tesla?
It's in the blurred background. I can see it. I
Yeah,
can see it,
yeah,
Maya.
Yeah.
No,
Hey,
I
upgrade
need
your
it.
glasses. Upgrade your glasses.
Okay, hold on. Let me go get my more recent glasses.
Yeah. So, but what is it about Tesla, right? Like, I think there's a mystique here, right? He died.
Yes!
He died young.
Yes. I mean, that's the whole point,
He
though.
was right. What did he take with him to his grave? Kind of thing. The crazy thing about this is you can go and read all the Dead Sea Scrolls for yourself, and you'll come to discover there's a lot of fairly interesting literature in here. But yeah, they did not
New glasses.
harbor the secrets of the universe in these texts. They did not. Right? It just it's wild. So yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Beautiful.
I'm
Look at
only
that.
I'm
surprised-
sorry. Here we go. Dr. Tapioca Weasel's family owned slaves. Maya's ancestor were slaves. Therefore, Dr. Tapioca Weasel owes Maya reparations personally in a monetary amount that is tantamount to making him cry every morning when he first wakes up.
I do that
Just
already.
saves
Trust me,
me,
you want to raise that
Nikola
amount.
Tesla.
Cry more. You'll have to be cry more.
Well, also,
wow.
So,
Maya,
I want you to hold on. I want you to name one person, Maya, who has put in more time over the last year in order to get this channel monetized. And you're not allowed to name Pragmatic Crystal because Pragmatic Crystal is a non-living entity because they are a crystal. Okay.
Have you ever met Pragmatic Crystal or Antjer or Titan Uranus or
Yeah, but
Stefan
Titan
Holmes?
Uranus enters
Look,
chat and
these
says
are
hello
these are
humans.
some hardworking bitches.
They don't count.
You
Antjer
tell
does,
me
yes.
that these are not the hardest working bitches on the internet.
I'm not a liar, Maya.
I
I
think
can't tell you that.
Okay.
I-
Reparations,
Yeah.
goddammit.
Well, my point is, you got monetizable tonight.
What?
So-
Look, all of your weasels went away. YouTube was like, fuck
That was
shit.
2 weeks ago. Not tonight. I didn't. Okay, if Sumami
Like, Dr. Kipp
and
is here.
Sumami's
Like, you know
all,
what? You know what?
Like
Everybody,
King Weasel?
we're gonna have an open stream. It's our 1 year anniversary. The show's 1 year anniversary, and
Is
what
it
do you call
tonight?
it? Hopefully, our 500 sub celebration. If all the 10 people that sub
If the
tonight aren't
weasels
all
hold.
weasels. And by
I
weasels
am
we
subbed
mean all.
with any, yeah.
By weasels we mean alt accounts because YouTube
accounts.
will take away the
Oh,
alts.
okay. All right.
They actually do
Oh,
because
okay.
I
Oh,
have
is that
multiple alt
why?
accounts.
Yeah.
And I subbed with multiple alt accounts like a couple of weeks ago, and maybe it was last week. And according
Within
to
12
Maya,
hours.
within 12 hours, YouTube removed it because they can tell it's all from the same IP address and all of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
There
So are
is
you
another
telling me-
person,
Are you
Sumami,
telling me
who also
that's
has
why?
Weasel accounts. So yeah, that's
Oh.
That's why what?
But are you telling me that's why my subscriber count will drop from time to time?
No, they're
Or
assholes.
is it just that
No.
people are
YouTube
pissed?
is like legit assholes. And YouTube, if you use this as one of the vids that you're looking when you're looking at me for monetization, I was totally joking. I'm drunk, but on the real though.
Also, this entire evening, we have been a paragon of
I
educational
was
content.
talking. He asked me a question.
I
black,
owned
isn't
your
it?
family, Maya.
You know what?
Sorry,
Here,
that
like,
was
you know
rough.
what?
I don't want to say
God
that.
damn
That's
it.
fucked
You
up.
know what?
This is getting dark.
This is.
Yeah.
This is. Here, like, you know what? It's me and you. It's me and you, baby. All right.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Don't tell the wife.
Oh, wow.
Um.
So
Okay.
I was.
So
Can
real
I
quick,
just
real
say
quick.
one
You
thing,
asked me a
Maya? The
question,
only
real
thing.
quick though.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
when we did our 200 sub stream, I got like 30 subs during that stream or like following, and then they took half of them away, and I think they do some kind of like configuring to make sure that they're I don't know what they do, but they do, and I've had other streamers say the same thing. When you get a bunch of subs all together, and this happened again when Apologia did my shout out, I got like 10 subs in a day, and then it dropped to 5, and I'm like, I'm just gonna slip my wrist. Because I'm so close to monetization. I'm like, don't fuck with my emotions like this, YouTube. So like now I'm just
Right.
like numb. I'm just numb. I'm not even gonna allow myself to believe that I'm on the cusp of monetization. I'm gonna get to like 520 and then I'll know I'm solid. And then I'll be like, all right, I'll ask. But yeah, they
What
will
is it?
if you get a bunch in a day or within a short period of time, they will take half of them, do some kind of configuring, and then you'll slowly get them back, but not all at once, because that would be nice. It's like, here's two more, here's the rest, whatever they do.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube be
What is it? Is
YouTubing.
it 500 now
Right
for
now I'm at
monetization?
502.
But is 500 like the magic number, or is it
It's
still 1,000?
partial monetization, and all I really want in my life is the ability to allow my chat to spam stone vaginas.
Boy, that's a noble goal. You're
It's for the
totally
greater
not.
good.
I can't hear anything.
They love them.
We talk a lot
Yes.
about stone vaginas.
So-
we talk a lot about stone vaginas. Yeah.
Is that right, eh? Wow.
We have
It's
a
a-
whole
it's-
video, 2 whole hours.
That's not something I've. Wow.
I just
That's
wanna
not something
say-
that's ever been featured on my channel.
Since we started talking about stone vaginas, Dapper has done like
Everybody
3
is talking
different
about it.
series about Roger and his stone vaginas.
Look, Dapper is a wannabe.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean he's just pulling stuff from other people and doing his.
Yeah, he's
spin,
clearly
right?
trying to be like me and my 500 subs. Like,
Who
you know.
wouldn't be,
you
right?
maybe one day
So
that little like, rinky dink 12,000 sub channel will be as big as me. And
Because,
Maybe.
12,000 is way smaller than 500.
one day
Says
you'll
the
be a big girl streamer.
mathematician / physicist.
Math is fake and truth is a lie.
I was
Okay,
going to say,
we're a
Maya,
little
that
vulgar
picture of
over here. I don't know. Nitty was trying to start the titty mob up. Everybody was being all
What
like
is it?
sane in the chat. Oh, I'm sorry. This is my chat. They are the titty mobsters.
It's because Nitty loves titties. Do you know Nitty?
I know Nitty. I didn't know this about
Yeah.
Nitty.
Oh, yeah, no,
Wow.
Nitty.
No, Nitty leads the titty
loves
mob.
Titty.
Yeah,
Yup.
yeah. So,
Wow.
and usually at least once every
yeah.
other stream, he'll lead the titty mob, and we stand a good, anarchy.
Wow.
We have fun over here.
I wanted to say something. Nikola Tesla picture, Maya.
Oh,
That the only thing missing from it
mhm.
was because I've seen a much more authoritative version of this picture where he's actually holding, a Dead Sea Scroll.
I love it. Oh, you have to
Please
send that
show
to
me
me,
it.
please,
Oh.
please. I'm begging you.
Sorry.
No, that's
But that's fitting, right?
yes. Oh my god.
It's
If we
It's
had that, it
esoteric.
might be my
This
channel
is
banner.
Dan Brown. This right? Yes, yes.
You have no
this is
idea how often
Dan
Nikola
Brown
Tesla
bullshit.
comes up in the topic of our.
I
It's
can believe
My
it.
grandfather's very close friend and graduate student
Your
was the person that the
slave owner
CIA hired. Huh?
Your slave owning grandfather?
No.
no, it's his.
How
That
old do you
person's
think my grandfather
Oh.
was? Do you know when the 13th Amendment was passed? My grandfather was born in 1901, which is like pretty old, but not that old.
Yeah.
No. His grandfather, my grandfather's grandfather, he was a member of the Confederate Senate. True fact. Not ideal.
Wow.
Yeah, not ideal.
Wow. That's wild.
But my grandfather, do you know that metal ball you put your hand on and your hair stands up?
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah. It's a Vandergraaf generator. That's my grandfather.
Really?
And-
Wow.
Yes.
The tapioca weasel generator.
Yeah.
I'm flattered. Thank you.
Yeah.
But no,
Right, no, yeah, don't see. It's just splooging all over.
I didn't get to the
Listen,
Tesla
I
CIA
learned-
Trump part of things, Maya.
All right, fine. Just stroke the
Trump.
shaft.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So in the early 40s, a particular gentleman by the name of John G. Trump, who was my grandfather's first graduate student, very close lifetime friend, and a business co-founder of High Voltage Engineering Corporation. He was the person the CIA asked to be like, hey, Tesla just died. Can you go through his estate and like check on the stuff? And he went through Tesla's estate to like see if there was like, you know, a weapon of mass destruction that he had invented. And he wrote a report and everything for literally the CIA. I mean, I am comically I am. My other grandfather was a 32nd degree Mason. Okay, I'm like a fictional character, is my point.
I'm convinced.
Yup.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's wild. That really is.
Tesla was nuts, though, is my point.
All
Yeah,
right,
I believe
sorry,
it.
Go ahead. I
ahead.
hope you had a good time. I mean, I would like to. I know we've got
I
like
had a great
5
time,
minutes
guys.
through this video, and videos like this, I wanted to give you something because we couldn't, like I said, we couldn't agree on a Dead Sea Scroll video, but we did kind of spend like the first half hour talking about Dead Sea Scrolls, and then I don't even think people
did.
understand how crazy this
That's
video
good.
is because like there was just so much to like tease out of it. But thank you for being here to help us kind of do that. We may want to, I mean, if you're open and if you have the time, we would love to have you back to like finish
Hell yeah.
deconstructing it. 'cause
Yeah, I'd be happy to come back.
you're
It'd be
amazing.
awesome.
And
Well, thank you.
yeah, I know that this week I have a video coming out, finishing out my Doc Dino series on Thursday. Friday, we're doing the open. I'm sorry. Wait, what? So today's the 14th. So Tuesday's technically, is it Tuesday? No. So last year we did our first stream was on a Sunday, right? So Friday might actually, this is either Saturday or Friday is our actual anniversary. Friday at 9:30, we're doing our open stream. It's at 9:30, so I
your
hope you're
1 year
home and
anniversary?
can jump in at some point, Doc.
I'll be able to make
yeah.
it around that time. I mean, for the record, first time hearing of it, just saying.
We've talked about this a month ago.
A month ago?
Yeah, but it's an open stream, so anyone's allowed to come in. We want special thanks to anybody who's been a co-host in the past year. You know, special shout outs to Bree and Steph, who were there constantly for us in the beginning. Same with Nitty, Leo. Yeah, there were a lot of people that there for us in the early days when we were streaming.
I recognize
Steph, Bree, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but again, anybody, you know, special shout out to anybody who's been in a stream with us. But we really want to kind of talk about the last year and everything that's been going on in the last year, and to anybody who has a channel, please come in and, feel free to talk about, it's January. So it's, the time of new beginnings and, what you have planned for your streams. And, we want to shout you out to the whole crew, what you have coming up and planned for. I mean, because I want to say most of the people we've had in here are mostly people that we know. So we all like really share the same ish audience. Like I consider everybody in the chat to be my friends. There are very few people in the chat that I haven't known for years.
You technically haven't known me for years.
Shut up. Nobody's talking to you.
Yeah. Maya did not know who I was before the middle of December 2022, which is barely over a year ago.
December 2nd was my first stream, and I just hit the go live button with another streamer friend of ours mutually, and he pops up in the back room, and I'm like, who's this asshole? Like, I almost yoinked him. And everybody else was like, no, he's cool. Because it's like tapioca weasel. What the fuck is that? Like,
it's catchy. Wow. That's what it is. Everybody likes my name.
It sounded like a troll.
It's catchy.
I don't like to lie to people.
I have to. It does take me time to accurately type it out on my keyboard to make sure that I haven't misspelled it.
Yeah, you just put the @ sign in front of it, and it, which is why I add everybody because all you have to do is
it doesn't work on my phone though.
No,
yeah, you're right. It doesn't.
Twitch
that's
does.
YouTube's fault.
Twitch does, but for whatever reason, YouTube hasn't gotten the move. Yeah, YouTube could do it. It just won't.
Yeah,
stupid.
We love you, YouTube monetization gods.
We do, which we may or may not have probably earned hopefully tonight.
Just talking shit.
Which means, oh man, I'm gonna be so low on money for like the next 3 months.
I don't even care about the money. I want stone vaginas.
Maya, you're going to enable memberships, and what's going to happen next?
They stop your government show payments?
No, no, but they don't make them bigger, and I'm going to go into debt buying everybody memberships.
Oh, right. Yeah. And you get a membership, and you get a membership. Everybody gets
I'm not going to be able to help it. And it's going to cost.
Yeah, he's got a spending problem, which I love personally because, like, he keeps me in subs. It's awesome.
It's how I pay reparations.
Every channel I've ever been a sub on is between him and Regios, I'd say.
Yeah. Regios also, yeah.
Regios comes through in a clinch.
I don't know that one.
Really, Regios is cool.
Wow, Regios, yeah.
Is he not here?
Hell yeah.
She?
I'm shocked because
sure
Regios is usually here, but it's late sometimes, and especially if you're like East Coast or Central Time Zone.
Yeah.
People like to sleep.
Regios is also one of the people along with like
about the East Coast.
He's also one of the people along with like Savage Cobra and DM Wing, who will also like gift subs a lot on Dapper's channel.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Oh no! Look! Oh,
wow.
Lurking.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there! Fantastic.
I know. Love you.
We do love Regios.
We do. Regios gives me a lot of subs, and for which I am very grateful. And again, not on here. Like, so like Regios hasn't actually given me money, just like he's given me subs. And
I haven't given you money.
I am I'm a thankful person. Like I don't want like monetization because I want money. I want, like, if they would just let me have emotes, I wouldn't even like look at my sub count, honestly.
I see what you're saying.
By
the way, Maya,
just got emotes.
Can we have a tapioca weasel emote, please?
No, never.
Please.
That doesn't make sense. Why would we do that?
I have such an ego, and nobody else will indulge me. Kip, what am I supposed to do with this?
I
think she just bailed.
I don't know, man.
I think she was just like, I can't handle this anymore.
Wow, that's it, eh?
Yeah, I mean,
it looks. Or does she have
no.
connectivity issues? Oh, she's back.
She's gonna blame it on me and the Illuminati. That's what she's gonna do.
No, this is 100% you. My
And-
computer
and the
was just like,
Illuminati.
no, I can't. Like, this is a grown man crying. What the fuck? It like kicked me out. It kicked me out of the tab. I went back to the like
hell is that?
the login
This
screen.
this is specifically for Pragmatic Crystal because I
lick
haven't
it.
brought out the whiteboard in a while.
Stroke it, lick it, look, yeah, like that, baby.
And she likes it when I bring out the whiteboard and
Wow.
I do some hot nerdy stuff with the whiteboard.
The hot nerdy whiteboard. Good naughty.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Dr. Kipp's here.
I don't
Freak.
have one. No, that's okay.
You know what? You're just a freak of nature, Weasel. Like, you need to like put your dick back in your pants.
Don't tell me
Can't
what
just
to
be
do.
like you can't just be all tits out in the middle of the stream. What the fuck is wrong with you?
All right.
I'm sorry.
That's how not to get monetized.
What? No. I guarantee
I
all the
think so.
YouTube nerds will love my titties. Oh wait, that's Nitty.
That's Nitty, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, who's a
Just
nerd?
Nitty.
Nitty's a nerd.
Nitty's a Lego nerd.
I've seen.
You know what?
it.
I need to you know what? I wanted to make
A Lego nerd and a Bible nerd.
I wanted to make a short of Nitty showing off his Lego room. I think it would be like the best viewed short ever.
Wow.
No, Nitty is like he's a Lego god. He is like
Yeah.
if you can dream it, he has bought it. Legos.
Now I know he didn't, but I bet Nitty wishes he did write the Brick Bible. Which is
The Brick Bible?
The Brick Bible? Are you not
What's a Brick
familiar with the
Bible?
Brick Bible?
What's
oh
Brick
my
Bible?
god. It
Uh-oh.
is
Oh, wait.
the Bible
One side
in
whiteboard.
Lego.
What? That's a thing?
Yeah. Yeah. I will drop a link in the Discord.
Oh yes, please.
Because you have to check this out. I have books on my shelf. You can buy them, and I recommend that you do because they are phenomenal works of art. So let me just pull this up. Give me a minute. I'll drop it in the Discord here.
Cool. Thank you. We will. Oh, there it is.
I'm only aware of 3 books
There
that
it is. You see it?
I'm.
Hey, Weasel, can you? I don't know if that'll come up for me. Because my computer acts weird from time to time.
I don't know what you're asking me to do. Do I need to check a
So
thing?
Dr.
think I
Kipp
just
just put a link
Dis-
in the thingamabob
In which thingamabob?
Discord.
In the Discord.
In the Discord. Okay. See, that's why I was asking because I was like, okay, there's
Oh,
like
wait a
8
minute.
things going on here. Hold on, I found it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
I have it.
Oh, sweet.
Somebody's got it. So just pull it up.
Yeah.
Now open Genesis. It's beautiful. It's amazing. So open the Garden of Eden because that one I quite like that one. The Garden of Eden there. Yeah.
That is
Oh my
awesome.
God.
Hold up. How do I?
The arrows. Do you see the arrows at the top there?
Oh
There you
no, that is
Yahweh
too
God
cool.
made the earth and the heavens. No plant or shrub had yet sprung up because Yahweh God had not caused it to rain, and there was no man to work the ground.
That is
Sorry.
cool. Are you
I
guys seeing
use
this?
these. Yeah. He's breathing into him. You see that?
Yo, Yahweh God looks so angry.
Always.
Oh, he's totally breathing into him. And now he's just naked.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Now he's just naked.
there's
Oopsie.
they all have it's funny.
NSFW, just saying.
Oh well, on the contents page for the site, they actually have content warning for language and violence and nudity. I'm not kidding.
To be fair, I would do that
Seriously.
too if for no other reason than the lulz. Like, I would absolutely do that, and I wouldn't change it. I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm going to give people a content warning for nudity because they have, like, the generic yellow Lego colors. That's hilarious.
So these were all built and photographed by Reverend Brandon Powell Smith, who now goes by Elba Sperling. I recommend everybody, if you're watching this and you haven't bought the Brick Bible books, you need to go over there and get them, because they're just amazing. And they have put all this wonderful content up online that you can look at just for free. It's amazing.
Oh, sorry. This is kind of reminded me of like B.S. Lewis was in the chat earlier, and he has a vid out talking about Genesis and how Adam may or may not have fucked every animal in the garden.
So listen, guys. Listen.
Yes.
This is a biblical scholar talking here. All
Sorry.
right.
Uh-huh.
The story,
Uh-huh.
as the story goes,
Uh-huh.
Yahweh makes the man,
Mm-hmm.
and then Yahweh says, he's got no one around to help him out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make the animals.
Mm-hmm.
And then the man, he discovers after doing this that no one is suitable for him. So his solution to that is to make the woman. So
Yeah,
the message there,
yeah,
right?
the atheists
Like,
are wondering, how did Adam figure out that none of the animals were suitable for him?
I don't know. I think I think we're supposed to use our imagination here. We are.
I mean,
There's
imagination, or are we to assume bestiality? Because I mean, it kind of seems like a
Well,
no-brainer.
no, hold on. Actually, technically, the inability for him to get properly physiologically situated to actually perform the act on animals would, in and of itself, be like a data point in the sort of null sense. So it could be that because there wasn't bestiality, God was like, bestiality, let's get some bestiality, let's do it. And Adam was like, yo, this isn't working for me. And then he was like, all right, fine, I'll make some tits.
See, I think, right. There you
I'm
go.
not wrong.
See,
I'm not wrong.
But I maybe. So, but I mean, I definitely think the moral of the story here is that God was experimenting. He was checking things out
with the mushrooms.
He had an idea, didn't quite work out the way he thought it would, and as a result, he had to make a woman. So there you go.
So what you're saying is God's first choice was bestiality.
Yeah, it's possibly could be.
Best by test.
I won't say it, but I won't deny it. So yeah.
Yeah.
But it is. I mean, the Brick Bible, the Brick Testament is pretty great, and I appreciate, as a scholar, I appreciate the sensitivity to the text, and to some of the cultural elements in the text. It's actually really, really good.
Well, I really appreciate this red ball gag that they gave to Eve. It's an interesting choice.
I mean, I guess
I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong.
We have fun here.
It's been fun.
All right, Dr. Kipp. Why won't you tell everybody who you are, so your channel, what they can find when they get to it, where else they can find you, the Twitter shitter, Facebook, the things.
Instagram, if that's a thing.
And then what you have coming up.
I don't know how to do Instagram.
No, TikTok.
And what you have
That's
coming up this
kids,
week.
right?
Not Tinder.
This week I don't think I have anything. I actually just got an email. Let me look at this. So I have some stuff going on in the week between the 23rd and the
Wait,
25th.
no. There might
That's
be people who don't know who you are. What's your name? What's your channel
oh,
name?
sorry. Okay, my name is Kip Davis. The name of my channel is Kip Davis.
And what do they
I
find on your
am.
channel?
They find excellent content, instructional content about the Bible that I think is fun and visually stimulating.
Is it like
And
Lego ball gag stimulating or?
sometimes it
Ooh,
could be.
I'm
You
all
never
in.
know. I like Lego. It's all good, right?
I
So
like
I'm
ball
a biblical
gags.
scholar, and I specialize in right. I specialize in the Dead Sea Scrolls and early Judaism. So, and I spend most of my time doing uh, lots of counter apologetics, which isn't just you know Christian apologetics. It's all sorts of pseudo scientific, pseudo historical nonsense that gets propagated about the Bible. So, because the Bible is cool, guys.
Bible is cool.
It's pretty great.
You know what? I actually do like the Bible. I think it
Especially in
is.
Lego.
It works really well when put into the context of its genre.
Yes, yes, and it's sad because so many people just you miss it or you gloss over it. So I'm actually something that I've taken a step. I have taken a step back from a lot of the content creation because I am frantically trying to finish up a book here,
Oh,
which
awesome!
is
You know
yeah,
what? Yeah, no.
it's
When you're
I
done with
did
the
a
book,
course.
we'll have you back when you're done with the book, so you can chill it out and do the rounds.
Beauty. Sounds great.
All right.
So yeah, and it's all about interesting stuff that you find in the Bible.
No, I mean, because you'll find you have a lot of supporters here, and I'm sure when you're chilling it out, they'll see it, at your channel before they see it at mine. But it never hurts to remind them, like, hey, did you just get paid Friday? Didn't you want to buy that book?
That's right. Yeah,
You know.
sure you do. It's
So,
true.
I'm here for you, buddy.
Nice. Appreciate it.
But
So
I've
oh
been loving your weekend
but
spots. Do you have anything coming up this next weekend?
oh so not I don't have anything officially on the schedule, but very soon I will be doing another installment with Dr. Josh of Kiryati Breach, which is our Hebrew reading stream. If if you don't read Hebrew, it may not be as interesting, but I still think it's fun. It's just a chance for us to get out there and read some Hebrew and go over nuances of the grammar and the syntax with people who are working through Hebrew. But he and I, along with our friend Pat Lowinger, who is an archaeologist,
Oh yeah.
just in Washington State, which is south of me here.
Mhm.
We are getting ready to do. We're going to be doing a stream probably in the next few weeks, because I have to tell you this. I found a Frank Turek. Are you familiar with this guy?
Yes.
This
All of
this
us.
asshole?
All of us.
Okay.
Hmm.
So
I don't have
Frank
I don't have
Turek.
I don't have enough faith to think about Frank Turek. Okay.
Oh,
Um,
I envy you. I envy you.
and
So,
and I don't even know if he's the guy who wrote that. That might have been the other guy who sort of reminds me of Frank Turek.
There's so many people. I don't know who
Right?
coined it, but
They
there's
all
so many
mesh
people
together.
now with that. I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. Okay.
You're not an
yeah.
atheist, Maya. You don't have that problem.
I didn't say,
I'm an
look, I
atheist.
didn't put myself in there. I certainly don't say that.
So,
Pretty sure Maya's an
Josh
atheist.
and Pat and I are doing. We found a couple of live streams that Frank Turek did because he's trying to promote. He actually is doing a course on archaeology and the Bible.
Why?
And to promote this course, he did these live streams of a couple of his lectures. And so I recorded them. And we're going to sit down and we're going to dissect them. And if people are interested, we might actually even, put the money out to pay for the course and actually go through the whole thing. Because Frank Turk's not an archaeologist, guys. And he needs to stop
Understatement.
pretending that he
Before
is.
you got to the end there,
Oh,
I was like, I want to try and BS my way onto that group, even though I have nothing to contribute, in the hopes that nobody notices because I have a PhD, right? So,
No,
you know.
I'm
Right.
gonna be drinking because that's the only way I can take Frank to work and talking shit in
Oh,
the chat. So please don't ban me.
it's so hard. I have to say it was very funny though, because in these streams that I recorded, it's a live audience, like it's a lecture hall. It's not very big. There's only like
Oh, yeah.
25 people in there. But I kid you not, they're all old white guys. Every single one of them
And,
in his
yeah,
audience.
that's hilarious.
You're cool, Frank. You're really cool.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
So that's coming up. We haven't set on a date yet, but it'll be soon. It'll be within the next couple of weeks. So keep your eyes open for that. Keep your eyes open for the book, and then Sydney Davis Jr. I don't know if you're familiar with her. I got to know her through Deep Drinks podcast, which is operated by a friend of mine, David McDonald. She's put together. She's in the process of putting together a pretty aggressive program. She's doing a week long of streams featuring specialists on various topics, lecturing like in a university setting. So I'm going to be doing a lecture on the origins of Yahweh and who he was and
Ooh, wait, when is that? I love
Right.
those. I love those
So this is
conversations.
it's I was just looking at the dates here. It looks like it's between. So let me actually pull up my calendar here to get a better sense of this. So it's like the week of the oh, that's February. Whoops. Okay, January. Today is the 14th. So yeah, it looks like it's next week.
Oh,
So
cool,
not this week, but
cool.
next week, like from the 22nd to the 26th, in
I
and
will
around there.
find you. I'm
Yeah,
sub to her channel,
it's
so I will
okay.
find
Good.
that.
Okay, good.
Thank you for letting
So
me know about that, though. That
yeah,
is
I'm
so
I'm
cool.
excited about that. So yep.
So wait, you know about Yahweh origins and all that?
A little bit. So I taught a course, and I guess that's something else I can mention too. I for years I taught a course on the religions of ancient Israel, and then I developed the course for uh, like for as an online course, and you can buy it through MVP courses.
Hmm.
It's 18 lectures, and one of those lectures is on Yahweh. I spent some time talking about the origins of Yahweh, and then the presentation of Yahweh within the Old Testament. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that
So
is. I mean, because I don't know. I need to just like I don't know, maybe offer to like babysit for Dr. Josh as he like talks me through this, because there's so many questions. But I know in the layman skeptic side, everybody keeps trying to say that he was a Canaanite god that the Israelites co-opted for themselves, and I'm not saying that he doesn't have a lot of Canaanite shit going on, but it just kind of seems like they, and I know that other people in the area at the time did this too, where they just like said we have a god and we're going to call it this, and we're just going to kind of slide it in as one of L's 70 um sons or whatever. And
so
yeah, no,
there's
he's one of you. Like we're one of you cool Semitic people, you know.
there's definitely some of that going on. But I think I was actually on a stream yesterday where I said I think the only two truly unique things about Yahweh
Hmm.
are that um, he comes from the southern region,
Hmm.
um, Moab, Midian,
Right.
Seir.
Hmm.
The other rather unique thing about Yahweh is that he's like an invading, occupying power. So he's
Yeah.
unlike the Canaanite deities in that he's not from the region, right? He
Okay.
came from outside, and that helps to explain a lot
Hmm.
of what's actually taking place within the biblical text, because
Yeah.
one of the things that he's doing is he's like I'm coming in and I'm kicking your ass,
Right.
all you Canaanite deities. But that's a pretty, that's a fairly, at least in terms of what we have preserved, that's a fairly unique thing of this people who celebrated and promoted this god who came from somewhere else
Okay.
and
So
just
we don't have any, do we,
landed
well,
it.
I'm sorry, do we have any thing to suggest that he was part of the original uh
No, like the
okay.
Canaanite pantheon.
Yeah,
No, he
cuz
wasn't part of.
cuz
He
no,
wasn't
there's
a Canaanite god, right?
yeah, and
Like
well,
he's still
a lot of people are trying to tell me he was, and I'm like, I don't think so. But again, I'm not a
maybe.
scholar, so I can't like speak with any authority on it. And I
Yeah.
feel like somebody a couple of years ago wrote a book saying that he was a metallurgy god or something of the
A
Canaanites.
metallurgic god.
Was it? It
No,
was.
no, I don't think
He was
that's
like a
true.
god of metallurgy or a god of I don't know. Where's purple?
Well, he's
Purple.
yeah.
Yeah,
He
like
seems
they're
to
saying
be
he was
within the
part of
Hebrew
the
Bible.
Canaanite. Yeah, no, he was part of the original Canaanite pantheon, and the Israelites just picked him up. And I'm like, that doesn't make
No,
sense with everything else I'm hearing.
no,
And so that's really what it, and people are fighting with me about this. Like, no, he was part of the original pantheon. And I'm like, I don't think that's true.
no.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
right.
Thank you. I don't know where he came from.
The
All I know
South.
is like I remember hearing something about the Egyptians talking about a band of marauders coming from like the Yahweh mountain or something. But
The Shasu came from, and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
our earliest attestation of the word is not actually of a deity; it's of a
of
place.
a place.
This
Yeah.
place called Yahoo, right?
Uh-huh.
So either and we don't know, right? Either this place um, adopted the name from the god, or the god was assigned the name by way of association with the place.
Hmm.
Is sort of the best idea. That one of the one of the really interesting things about this is that there's just so much we don't know about the prehistory of this deity prior to when the Israelites started to worship him. So it's
And I
pretty
think this
interesting.
is
It's
so
pretty cool.
fascinating. I actually like when I got over the whole fear of burning in hell forever thing.
It takes time, doesn't it?
It really does, though. Years for me, at
Yeah,
least.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
And
I,
even like when I was really ready to just let go. And I was just like, well, I don't know because I'm saved. And if I say I don't believe, then that's going to take away my salvation, and which could mean burning in
depends who you talk to.
hell. It does. It does. I didn't know anybody who believed in annihilation theory. So it wasn't an option for me. I really had to look into it. And before I could say, okay, and then that gave me so much once I was convinced that everything I believed about hell was completely made up and not in the Bible, then it gave me permission to actually look at, well, what are these stories and what were
Yeah.
they meant to do. And I feel like I'm a much better person and a much better skeptic for it. So I really do thank
Nice.
you for, and you know, you and Dr. Josh and Dr. Ehrman and you know,
Oh
people
wow.
like you for getting the word out, because I kind of came to the skeptic community, one from flat earthers and holy shit, but two, and I say this a lot, from Zachariah Stitchin, who up until like I found Dr. Josh, like nobody was countering publicly. So
Amazing.
yeah,
Wow.
it really is. It really is. So I don't know.
By
I
the
find
way,
it really
Well,
fascinating and I love it.
oh,
And we will all be on Sydney Junior's channel cheering you
there we
on
go. Check it out, guys.
sometime next weekend. Thank you so much for, oh, I'm
It's the
sorry.
next week, so it's like
Doctor,
after
I'm
next
sorry.
weekend, right?
yeah, there
Oh,
we go.
there you go.
There
Just
We're
we
gonna
go.
there's
add you. No, yeah, you have to
there's
come on
still
because we're gonna
all the
add your
books.
book to that list. I too have them
Yeah.
on my
Yeah,
Kindle.
we got, and there's a new version of this, by the way. I don't think I have it
It's
yet.
huge and it's
It's
amazing.
huge. So the new version of Did the Old Testament Endorse Slavery is like an 800-page
Not quite.
anthology.
It's like 650 pages. But what Josh has
Okay,
done, which is really remarkable,
all
and
of it.
this is amazing, is he has actually gone and included in a huge, like half the book is this appendix at the back, which includes every single text, every single
All of them.
Akkadian text, every single Hittite text, every single Sumerian text, every single Mesopotamian text that has anything to do with the legislation of slavery, it's in the book.
Yeah.
Every single one. And
It
it's,
is,
as far as I know, it's the only place where you
Yes.
can just find all of
That's-
them. Right?
and that's why he did it. If it existed somewhere else, he would just point people to the other place.
Yeah.
But it
Yep.
didn't, and he was like, this is a thing that really matters.
I think that, well, because there's so many apologists saying, yes, it is right to enslave Black people because Bible.
Yeah.
And I think
It's
most
astonishing
scholars,
how many people are still okay saying that. Like, I just...
a lot, like a whole lot.
So-
It is scary. And I'm so grateful to him for doing that because, like, most of us were just of the mind of course, and that was then, and it is wrong for us now.
Yeah.
But unless you're a Christian nationalist that want to bring back the good old days of 1776.
But I think, like, I don't even think, it seems like it's not even just Christian nationalists, right? Like we did, the stream we did today. It's kind of astonishing how, like, every time an apologist comes out and says, that's slavery in the Old Testament, that wasn't so bad. Look, they were treated really nice. This sounds like a pretty good life. It was just it was a hand up to make sure that you... That you worked for a living and weren't a burden on
it's
society.
like prison. It's a roof, a roof and 3 square meals. They give you clothes.
My God,
what's the problem?
This is so dangerous. Like, just
Horrifying.
flirting with these ideas is
It
like,
lets you do anything to people.
Yes,
It does. It does. How do people?
If you could do that, you can do anything.
Crazy, man. Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Well-
okay. Yeah, we've kept you for 3 hours, and
You guys-
we would like to do it again. Finish that book.
I would love to. I would love to come back and hang out with you guys.
Awesome.
That'd be super
we had
fun
so
to
much
do.
fun, and thank you
Awesome.
for
Fantastic. Let's do it.
burning 3 hours for us. I really appreciate it. All right, guys, we'll see you. I hope to see you all back on Friday night. We love you and thank you. I want to say at least half the people here have been with us for like the past year, and I can't tell you how much that means to me. Doc, you got anything before we go out?
I am going to actually be appearing on Vandalia 1998's channel.
Oh,
Do I have the link? I can get the link right here. Hold on, I can put it in the
Alright.
chat. I will be, so Landon Knoll is like his main guest, and then I was like,
we have to
and
get
I was
Landon on here. I love
we
Landon.
do need to get
Fiery
Landon on here.
passion. Yeah.
Exactly. Landon's is like the main guest, and then I was like, oh, hey, well, I have credentials of a kind. Have you heard about it? So my advisor anyway, sorry.
Look, no, look, this is all stuff for
He
the
won a
open
Nobel
stream.
Prize, didn't he?
What
I
do you
heard he won a
have
Nobel
coming up?
Prize.
We're doing a show on if the Big Bang or what happened before the Big Bang or something, which I'm going to use as an opportunity to like ask a lot of questions of Landon Knoll about, and it's going to be great.
All right,
So,
all right.
Yeah, let me find the thing. And then put it in the chat.
Yeah, throw it in the chat. We love you guys. We'll see you. We'll see you on Friday.
Awesome.
Oh,
Bye.
PC got it, as PC always does.